penultimate round of FGM eCast presenting the Australian Endurance E-Championship. We are at Spa this evening, one of my all-time favourite tracks to race at, and back in the passenger seat for this one tonight is Scott Rankin. Welcome back, Scotty.
Good to be back in the booth after a few weeks off. It's been a little bit topsy-turvy over in my end of town. Busy trying to get things together, so whenever I do get an occasion to sit back, relax, and enjoy some good old-fashioned endurance racing, it's always good to step back in the booth. Stuart, it's been a little while. We're actually just talking off air about some driver changes in the world of F1 and the silly season unfolding. It's in full flight now, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's been in full flight all year, to be brutally honest. I mean, can't wait to see Mick Schumacher join the F1 ranks officially. We've got changes with Ricardo, so Formula One world is alive and happening. Not too much on the V8 Supercar silly season side of things at the moment, from what I have seen, but no doubt that will come. And here tonight for Spa, definitely a track that I think it's fair to say is both one of our favourites, both of us.
Yeah. Look, I mean, my first interactions with Spa was in the earlier editions of 2010 F1's 2010 on a controller. Any course that has you utilising a lot of trail braking on a controller is never a fun course. So for many years, it sat in the background as this course that I looked at, revered, and wasn't so much of a fan of. But the instant the opportunity to turn some laps with a set of pedals and with a little bit of skill behind my back, all of a sudden it becomes an absolute favourite. It's got a bit of everything. You want a slow section of the track? Well, look at the chicane right before you start the lap and all the way down through to La Source. You want flat out high downforce testing sections of the track? Well, it's got it in spades. You've got Blanchimont, you've got the S's, you've got the chicane at the end of the Camel, you've got Eau Rouge and Rodillion. You want long straights that challenge the power of the cars? Well, Camel, we just mentioned it. It's right there. The straight leading up into Blanchimont and the boss stop right at the end of the lap. It's there. It's everywhere. Ultimately, speed is important to put in a really good lap around Spa, and it wouldn't surprise me if the RSR Porsches are once again, the NSR Porsches are once again running a very high-speed trim on both their qualifying and race sets.
Certainly has been a mark of theirs throughout the season to get more pace out of those Porsches than just about anyone else on the track. And it's actually 5 minutes to go in qualifying. It's actually a perfect segue into just giving everyone an update on where we are at the moment, because there is a chance that tonight we will crown potential champions. So just put up on the screen there the GTE Championship. Excuse the crude nature of the points display there. We normally do better, but just struggling a little bit of time this week to get it done. So we've got Braden Nash out in front of Matty Bowler and Tim Russell in third there. Now, of course, Nash and Bowler driving together in those NSR Porsches, so 1 and 2 at the moment. We've got 1 round to go, 30 points for a race win. So if that gap widens any more tonight, we will certainly be able to confidently crown a race winner, I believe, other than some mathematical. The top 3 at the moment. Tim Russell in third, still able to make some impact as well. Unfortunately, Mark Gibson not running tonight, nor Tim Theben. So they unfortunately jumping across to the GT3 points update again. Basically going to wrap that one up tonight. This man out this evening. So looks like Cornell will make it back to back, certainly division championships this season. Overall drivers' championships still in contest, driving the highest number of points, getting that number 1 on their car, whether that be GT3 or GTE for the season. The one that is probably the spiciest battle. 12 points separate NSR and 981 Motorsport at the top of the rankings there. So all 4 drivers present tonight. That is the battle. The boys at Redback Race Team equally still in that one. They did have a slightly affected race last week. Sorry about that there, guys. We'll just turn myself up. Did have a slightly affected race last week, last fortnight I should say, when we were at Road Atlanta. Still well and truly in the mix for this team championship. So it's not over for anyone. There's plenty to contest, particularly with that team championship. It is off and running.
Yeah, look, and I mean, don't necessarily count out the wild card here, as actually Purnell just slots in between Spithill and Malcolm. I was actually just about to talk about my famous enduro teammate Jordan Malcolm. He's been he's been a little bit busy with university last week. Wasn't able to put anywhere near as much time as he liked into a championship that we're running on the weekends. So I'm pretty sure that he would have spent a fair amount of time practicing. He'll be racing again this weekend at Road America, again in the GT3, in American Le Mans series. So he's on top in that league, which straight out says to most people, you know, that he's obviously got the talent, and something that I've always said to him as well. You know, you've got the ability. I think you underrate yourself a little bit here, and if he's this close to Purnell with the pure volume of hours and time that Purnell's certainly put into this sim, I wouldn't count him out tonight of being too far off a victory. And I mean, have a look down through the GT3 field. It's a really good opportunity to say that, hey, maybe for the first time in a fair while, the manufacturers are a fair bit closer than you'd think, because you've got Spithill on the Ferrari with a 219.089 in pole at the moment, Purnell in the Audi 219.163, and Malcolm, the first of the Mercedes, with a 219.305. So our top three in GT3 field are separated by just over 0.2 of a second. That's phenomenal. That tells me that we're in for some great racing. One of the best part, only 0.157 further back is Sebastian Murray Wesberg, also in a Mercedes. So the manufacturers are covered right there in the top three, but also in the driver depth as well. We've got 4 drivers that could potentially be playing for a victory tonight. I was actually just watching Matty Bowler get it all wrong coming out of La Source. That'll be it for him. He won't have the opportunity to start another flying lap. So
no, and he's at the moment almost in a dead heat with Russell as well for second on the starting grid. So really close in the GTE field as well. And important for you to touch on there as well that Spithill and Murray Westberg are teamed up together. So he currently qualifying both ahead of Traher, who is Purnell's partner in the team championship for that one as well. So there is potential championship impacts from Jordan Malcolm inserting himself into the middle of that pack, and he's certainly shown over the last couple of rounds that he's been very quick, and I expect to see that again from him tonight, and his qualifying performance shows that at the moment.
I consistently ask myself how I had the pure raw luck to end up with a teammate like him.
Well, you've got to be in the right place at the right time.
I mean, you mentioned it. Russell's inserted himself in between the NSR Porsches. So look, for the first time in a good long while, I'm seeing multiple points of contention right throughout the field. Having said that, there's four cars that are in that 213 frame of mind in the GTE field, which is Nash, Russell, Fowler, and Lofthouse. Lofty's done a really, really good job here to sort himself up and put his name alongside those top three. Then you've got a 1 and a bit second gap back to Ron Polito, who's only 1.8 seconds faster than Phil Polito. Jeff Thomas is not very much further adrift. Then there's a little bit of a break back to Matty Broom, a little bit of back to Hodak. So again, the fields is what I like about the AEE is that we've got a whole bunch of sort of little chunks of cars that chunks is the wrong word, clusters of cars that are going to be fighting.
Battle packs.
Yeah, battle clusters. Cool clusters. We don't call them battle packs here. We like to be a little bit different. Am I hipster roots coming through?
Gaggles?
Ooh.
A gaggle? We could call it whatever we want to. But yeah, you're right. There's always battles within the battles here. So as qualifying has come to an end, for those of you...
House, is that a BMW color styled Porsche? Oh.
Yeah, because he's teamed up with Tomo, so they're always going to run the I think it's JWM Motorsport livery on that car there. So we've come to the end of qualifying here, and I can tell you it is Michael Spithill who's taken out the GT3 pole position. Braden Nash on pole for the GTEs. As said, there's a few notable absences tonight across the field, and that's obviously going to have championship complications as well. So, or implications, I should say, not complications, implications. We'll get our teeth right tonight and hopefully get some of the words out that we mean to say. Before we head
let me just yank out the old fake teeth and go put them in the bowl for the night. We can spend the rest of the night
it's a little bit that way. It's been
tripping
a long,
over our woods.
It's been a really long, short week here down in Victoria, and we're all praying that we are going to get out of containment by the end of this weekend. So, but yeah, it's been a long week. The short week always plays havoc.
25 kilometers now for you guys.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's better than it's progress.
Yeah, it is.
You've got to take progress for what you can grab, right?
Feels like being allowed to go out of solitary confinement and just into playing basketball in the yard, though, mate. It's not what you need. Anyway, but that's all right. We're here tonight. We're looking forward to a good race, and as usual, brought to you by our good friends at Aftershock PC, your rig, your choice, and a virtual motorsport mentor as well. We're just waiting for the session to tick over here, and we'll bring you the full grid for the race tonight, starting out with the GTEs, followed by the GT3s.
Tell you what, last second addition to the timesheets, Malcolm has pitted Purnell. So Purnell, for the first time in the entire time I've been commentating this series, is not on the front row of the GT3 field.
That is a good point. I know the Audi does struggle a little bit here for straight line pace. So, and the other thing that we didn't touch on, which we will have to speak about through the race, and we normally do anyway, but is fuel strategy. Fuel strategy is going to be active here from the very start as we jump into our grid for the race tonight. For some reason, saying that we're at Bathurst when we are not. So let me get that off the screen. Scotty, do you want to take us through it while I do that?
Yeah, 100%. So starting from pole, as he pretty much normally is Braden Nash with a 2:13.039 pole time for this evening. Not quite able to break into the 2:12s, but all but. Timothy Russell is going to be alongside of him on the front row, so Matty Bowler will get relegated to sitting directly in behind his teammate. Martin Lofthouse will also line up alongside Bowler. From the third row of the grid, it's the Politos. Go Polito in the chat if you can hear me. Ron Polito and Phil Polito's the ordering this time around. Jeff W. Thomas, Matty Broom is going to be your fourth row of the grid. And rounding out our GTE field is Frank Hodak and Rez Polito. Spit Hill, that's Michael Spitty. Spit Hill has taken pole position for the GT3 class. And like we said, it's not common to see Chris Purnell not on the front row, but it's Jordan Malcolm that'll line up alongside Spittle. Chris Purnell will take the number 3 seed for the evening, lining up alongside Sebastian Murray Wesberg. Wesberg with it all to prove, I think, here this evening. Luke Trahair from the fourth row of the GT3 grid, and Braden O'Loughlin alongside of him, and rounding out the field is Reese Ashmore.
And as you say that, the Polito fan base get active in the chat. And Sovi and Evie, thanks very much for joining us again tonight. For those of you joining us for the first time, our start procedure is pretty simple. The GT3 boys hold off 5 seconds, so that's why you can see them disappear into the background. Our GTEs go on the green light. The GT3s will follow them a little bit further down the road and will get started when the leader crosses the start-finish line. And we're going to get underway here.
Pace car go through the wall? Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's very, very funny at the moment. The pace car in iRacing just is not the sort of thing that actually goes all that well. So this is a long green section, red I should say, a waiting section before we actually go green. Pace car pulls off an extremely long pit lane here at Spa. The start finish line is actually on the way down the hill here, so we're just waiting for that to get underway. I'll let you take us away when you can.
NSR Porsches have decided to get a nice early jump, and Timothy, well, he gets outplayed by team strategy. He manages to slot back into third position. The GT3 cars will get underway in the background once more as well. So we see an absolute field of screaming Porsches make their way down. Everyone gets through nice and easily. Spitty back in the pack right up. Now they're going to cross the line. They'll get the green flag in the air. Going to try and slot it all together. It is 1, 2, 3, 4 as they grid it up for the first time through Eau Rouge and Rodillion. It looks like Sebastian Murray Wesberg got a little bit unstable. He's going to have Trahair crawling all over his rear wing. Spithill in front is punching that hole in the air. We are 3 wide on the first lap. This is going to be crazy coming down into the chicane. It's going to be Purnell who opts to get out of it. Spithill gets rounded up around the outside, and it's going to be Malcolm who assumes the lead of the GT3s. For how long? They are side by side. It's going to be for the most of this first section of the lap. Finally, they get it sorted out, and Spithill loses 2 places on the opener. Him and his teammate are now going to have to work together for the entire rest of the race. But Malcolm from second on the grid is going to lead the GT3s around.
We had to stick with it there. What a fantastic start for the GT3 drivers. Giving one another room, having respect, but really good close racing at the start of this one. On cold tyres as well, let's not forget that. And the difficulties that presents as well for them as they get through and get started on the first lap of this 2-hour race.
It's going to be Purnell looking to apply pressure firmly to the rear bumper of the Malcolm Mercedes. But once again, the sight that we've seen just about the way through the season, it's Nash and Bowler right at the head of the field. The green and yellow Porsches in control of this motor race once again. Russell is gluing his white, orange and blue Porsche to the rear end of the green ones this time around. So maybe Matty Bowler is going to have a lot of work ahead of him this evening if he wants to come away with a podium position.
Absolutely. He's actually done a good job of making sure that he gets himself into that position to support the team. Matty and his NSR boys definitely, as we've said before, know how to set the course. Continues to be the case as we see them drive away at the front of the field at the moment. 59.31 first lap for Braden Nash, a really, really strong opening lap. And it is Nash from Bowler from Russell at the front of the GTE pack.
Actually, comment, I think Nash would have for sure picked himself up an off track there coming through Revolution Dillian. He was right on the limit of getting a slowdown penalty as well, which would have ruined the style of the race. So either that's very, very good driving to know exactly what the limits are. Early on in the race, he's looking to burn up a few of those incident points just to try and build himself a buffer, and then afterwards he'll set it onto a rhythm. So he's obviously on the attack from the outset. But I think, Stuart, the GT3 field is going to have to be where we're going to have to keep our eyes this evening, because look how close this is, and there's so much of an opportunity to catch the draft around the lap. But alternatively, there's so many high downforce sections where being in the wake of that car ahead, I mean, we know it. We watch F1s. We understand aero wake and how bad it can be. But I can tell you that Geordie does not like sitting in aero wake around this track. So I think he's going to be fairly happy to be sitting at the front of this battle pack.
We've got another battle just a little bit further behind it as well between the second pairing of the teams. Luke Dreher and Sebastian Westberg currently fighting it out for 4th and 5th as well. So we'll keep an eye on that battle as we get through the night. It's really close here. I think I just saw a move on there, and I did. Michael Spithill there just trying to get the Ferrari in the right position. If he can hold the line here, he'll be in the right position for the next turn and might be able to get that closed, and he does. He gets the job done. So again, good driving from both drivers here to allow the room and allow the racing to happen. And a good job there from Spithill to hold that line and get it done.
Malcolm is right on the edge of breaking the draft here, and that is going to be huge. If he can break that draft now, he might have the pace to just settle in and disappear up the road. Oh, he's sideways coming through Blanchimont!
It's a big slide.
Oh, where's Spithill? Spithill's gone!
Where has Spithill gone there? Oh, he's gone around. He's gone around. Let me see. We'll bring that up on a replay very quickly.
It's a bruised and battered Ferrari too, so I can see him coming in for a faster pair.
He's just run wide, has he? Yeah.
Oh, he's got to help. A little bit of help.
There. I think that may be a net code.
Yeah, but it's one of those options where he'll recognise it as well. I don't think there was much that Chris could have done there, because the car's so loaded up at that point in time to actually get off and take avoiding action. It's so hard. Oh, okay, he's done it himself. Okay,
Single car. That's unfortunate for Michael. He was running really well there. So let's see how we can get back in. Look, it is a race tonight where they are going to have to conserve fuel. Maybe a little splash at the start there. Oh, and that car has bad damage on it. He'll get that back out there, but he's done well to get it back into pit lane with it crabbing down the lane like that. So he'll get himself dusted off and he'll get back into the race. We better jump back to the front of the pack here and have a look at our GTEs while the battle in the GT3s has cooled off ever so slightly. There's still plenty going on between Terre and Murray Westberg. We'll keep an eye on that and get you up to date on that as it happens. We are running an evening race here as well, so we'll get dull towards the end of the race. And, an effect, but the cooler track will mean we should get better racing throughout the evening.
I think it'd be a cooler track. What I'm currently seeing is it's actually 38 degrees out on track, so no wonder they're slipping and sliding around. I did a lot of practice actually coming up to the 24 hours of Spa here, and the pace payoff was phenomenal. Geordie and I worked really hard during that week. Blanchimont in a GT3, well, even the GTEs at the a 38 degree track is so hard. You want to keep your foot planted because it is 100% the fastest way around the lap. But a lot of the time, it's better to just be conservative and roll out from 100% throttle to about 90-95% throttle and get back into it straight away. And there's Spitty in the background, just exiting the lane. So he's back into it, a long way down the field, but he's back into it is the most important.
I was saying, you know what, there's an hour 52 to go, so there's never a good time to have an accident, but it's certainly better to have it earlier on because you just never know what's going to happen throughout the race that might get you back into it. And for him tonight, it's about making points now and contributing to that team championship as much as he can.
It's going to be his first goal now coming back out on the track is to make sure that those tyres are at a nice, comfortable temperature, and then he can settle into a rhythm. It's going to be quite hard when he's in the middle of battle pack after battle pack after battle pack of these GTE cars as they make their way through. So a lot of work ahead of Spitty. He did it all in qualifying. He's shown he's got the pace. Now he's got to back it up and see if he can reclaim a lot of those lost points.
And let's not forget as well here, as he just gets run a little wide there. Let's not forget here as well, this is the second time we've been here with AEE now. We are through our second season. And with our driver remaining fairly stable, use the same word twice with a different context, we've got some experience now here in these cars with passing opportunities and what have you. So a lot of these guys now know how to use the track, know where to pass and what to do. So we should see a much. It's been bad racing. We haven't had too many races where there's been a lot of incident, but yeah, certainly looking forward to a good quality of run tonight, albeit the field definitely a little thinner than we normally see. Some of that's because our contingent of NZ drivers have unfortunately succumbed to daylight savings and the issues that presents in terms of timing, and it's just too late for them now to be finishing up with the series. So they'll unfortunately miss this round and our last round at Nürburgring in 2 weeks' time.
Please tell me that's the Nordschleifer.
Oh, absolutely.
Or the Gessentracht or whatever it is. Whoever it's properly called. The GP layout mixed with the Nordschleifer.
There is no other alternative. And dare we say it is in dull conditions.
Can I tell you, Stuart, there's actually a life hack for doing qualifying around the Nordschleifer.
Yes.
So, for those of you that may not be aware, when the 24 hours of the Nürburgring was held just recently, albeit the race that was stopped in the middle of the night due to the conditions, what they would do is they'd set up a lane to sort of, you do a lap of the GP track, and then you come back around the end of the pit lane, make sure that the track was clear, and then you'd immediately start your qualifying lap. So instead of having to go off and do an 8-lap warm-up lap, you do a normal, 2-minute long warm-up lap, and then immediately jump into your qualifying lap, same as you would normally, except for your race laps a lot longer than that. iRacing has that feature, has that ability. There are reset points right around the track to obviously make resetting after an error during a qualifying lap a fair bit easier, but the same rules apply. If you pull in just after the end of the GP circuit, over to the right, reset car, you'll actually be allowed to start from the. Oh, and now the name of the
two-thirds of the
straight.
way down the straight, it's near the castle.
Yeah, it's perfect. That means you get to start your lap, you're 30, 45 seconds back, long enough to do a little bit of warming up on your tyres and end your lap.
I love the Nürburgring. I must admit, I didn't like it originally, but we did the 6-hour race around there not too long ago now. It seems like a long time ago, but not too long ago now, and spent a fair number of hours learning the track. And once you get it together, it's a fantastic place to put together a lap. Much like Bathurst, when you put together a good lap there, it's very rewarding to drive. So keen to get back there at some stage when time permits, and I'm not doing this or that I can get back into racing. But we're on board at the moment with Jordan Malcolm. He is leading the GT3 field. Thanks very much, Elliot, for the follow. We really appreciate it there. And he's doing a cracking job as well. Kendall, yeah, absolutely. Braden and Matt for another 1-2 at this stage doing a cracking job. We'll jump on them shortly, so stick around. And Jordan's doing a great job here. He's just holding Purnell at bay at around about that 1.5 second gap. So out of that slipstream, as you mentioned, which is critical around here with the long straights. And able then to manage, hopefully, that gap. There is an importance to some fuel conservation here tonight. With the really long pit stop, as we're just getting note that Martin Lofthouse has had an off-track as well. With the really long endurance pit that we use here, it's deliberate by the organisers to use the pit lane. It actually means that the drivers, if they don't conserve fuel, will have to pit twice. And that way we make sure that there's some strategy involved. You don't have to if you conserve, and you conserve from the start, then you can make it around for 2 hours with one stop in both of these cars. But particularly with Purnell trying to chase down Malcolm, there's every chance that he won't be able to conserve fuel, or he's going to lose too much time and will have to pit twice. So it's going to be interesting to see, as always. Pit strategy in these 2-hour races does come into it. What actually ends up happening and who does what strategy. We don't have the fuel conservation king running tonight. Brock Schaefer not joining us this evening. So how those NSR boys go as well, that will be something we will watch keenly through the night.
In terms of where most of the guys are at on their fuel conservation, it's not a conserve throughout the entirety of the stint too. It's just a little bit. It's about 10-15 minutes or so, isn't it, Stuart, that you need to conserve for about there?
Yeah, they need to save really between 2 to 3 laps of fuel.
Yeah.
Over the duration of the race, not just in their first window. So yeah, it's not huge, but it's enough that if they don't do it or they're not aware of it, they will have to pit twice for a splash and dash. The problem with the splash and dash here is the pit lane transit time itself is minutes.
And remember, there's one driver who's already off the hook in terms of that fuel number, and that's Spitty. So that could theoretically play back into his hands if the drivers aren't aware of their obligations to their fuel mileage. It's kind of like being married, isn't it? You're married to a tank that can only be so full. So you've got to make sure that tank can last the distance.
I'm married, and I'm not sure where you're going with that one, so I'm going to leave it alone.
I was going to say, you've got to caress it, you've got to be kind to it, and you've got to make sure that everything that you do to that tank of fuel is in your best interest as well as that tank's best interest. That's all.
We're walking on uncharted territory here, so I'm not sure that it's a place that I'm comfortable going. So we'll just move it way back to the dial to the left-hand side of things here into the safety zone. And get way away from giving anyone sort of advice about how to handle a marriage, I think, at this point in time. Only 15 minutes in, we don't want to get that deep. But we are on board now with Braden Nash, and you can see Matty Bowler there just behind him, just shadowing him here. These guys are really managing their race quite well so far. It's only 15 minutes in, but establishing that gap that is customary to these Phoenix window tinting sponsored. Actually, someone did mention what colour this is in one of the previous streams, so if you are out there, I just don't quite remember. It's close to one of the professional racing team Porsche colours. I just can't remember what it's called, but it's certainly one of our favourite liveries, and we get plenty of time watching them as well because they're generally at the pointy end of the field. But currently wanting first and second, and Tim Russell doing a really good job as well in the Redback Race Team Porsche in third. Again, just holding that gap at the moment. The field sort of stabilised a little bit and doing a good job in third. Just around 3 seconds behind the NSR team, and that's actually not a bad place to be at the moment. He's not quite in the draft, but again, with the long pit lane and the issues that can happen with that, he's not in a bad position at this early part of the race.
Alternatively, he could be eyeing off going long in this first stint too. I mean, the benefits of being this close is that if you do notice you're in the sort of the right range to notice if they decide they want to start fuel saving. It's not too close that they're going to be pushing to make sure that you're out of the draft range, and it's not too far back that you can't make any real sort of assessments of whether or not they made a mistake, whether they ran wide here, and that's the reasons that you've made some time up. So I like what you said about it. I think this is really the perfect spot for me. I'd like him to be a fraction closer, just so he's in that draft range. You can just sort of save fuel whilst maintaining the lap time. But if you can't be inside of that, you want to be in visual distance, don't you?
Well, I have just seen here in the background a couple of things. I got a message from Reese Ashmore. He is out for the evening. He's had a failure with his VR headset, and that has meant that unfortunately he's had to drop out of the race. But I also did see that Chris Pennell had an off-track, and notice he's now in third with Luke Trevere now up into second place. Let's bring up a replay of it here and see what happened. It's like a single car accident. He's just grabbed the grass. Yeah, it's just unsettled the car on the entry into the corner. Again, uncharacteristic. It is, having actually done it in that car at that particular corner, it is easy to do there if you do get a little wide. Uncharacteristic, of course, for Purnell, and no damage done other than a little bit of lost time. The car's still nice and straight, so he will continue.
Tyres will be a little bit hot for about, well, given it's a long lap, it'll probably be about half a lap or so before they start to sort of settle back into things. I reckon, Stuart, I think we might have picked it again. I reckon that Nash and Bowler are running that really low downforce trim on those Porsches again, because Russell just seems to consistently be just a fraction slower in a straight line. So
there's no question that the straight line speed of those NSR Porsches,
well, because the other thing is, like at the start of the lap, that's where the gap from Bowler to Russell sort of really blows out, and then over the remainder of the lap is where he sort of comes back to Russell. So and the gap between Nash and Bowler sort of is hovering right around. I reckon it's sort of, given that they like to play the team. Well, I'm not saying it negatively either. I appreciate the fact that they're playing the team tactics, because it's a really good opportunity to talk about those. But they're the only real team with the opportunity to do that in terms of pace-wise at the moment. But I reckon Nash has come back just slightly to Bowler, just so we can allow him that draft and give him that fuel edge, which will really hurt Russell later on in the race. So Russell's in with a shot here, but he either needs to be with him right now, or he needs to be further back down the track and really in fuel conservation mode, so we can push in that last half hour.
Thanks very much for letting me know that there, Darren. Yeah, I'm having a few mic issues tonight. I'm not sure why, so I've just boosted that up a little bit there, so I hope that's better for you. Thanks for letting me know about my mic being a little bit quiet again. I have these issues periodically every now and again, but it is what it is. That's technology, so we'll keep on with it and keep going through this one. So closest battle on the track at the moment, my apologies, is actually this one here between Ron Polito and Jeff Tomo, as we like to call him. Keeping nice and consistent there. The BMW will run longer than the Porsche, I think, at this race tonight. The BMW, quite a strong performer. So we'll see how Tomo goes. Polito just keeping him at base, same sort of thing here, just stabilising in the race as Purnell moves ahead of Trahir in the background. And
surprised me as well for the NSR guys to actually switch cars at the end of this season. The BMW right now seems to be heavily favoured. BMW and Ferrari are both very, very strong. The Corvette's not a slouch either. It is incredibly quick. So it's going to be interesting to see what the drivers nominate in terms of what they'd like to be driving next season. So.
Yeah, we'll definitely have the Corvette coming into this one. So the GT is the Ford GT, extremely unpopular, even though it did take out our championship last year. I still do that. You'd think I'd know by now. Our last season, the GT40 did take out the championship. So I don't know who will jump on board with the Corvette. I've driven it. It's a really quick car. It's a very easy car to get into. And certainly in the real world now is dominating GT field. So we'll see what people do, but definitely going to be joining the ranks of AEE next season. We've got a fair bit we're working on in the background in terms of upgrading this category and pushing it further along and increasing driver standards and things like that. So it's going to be a highly contested category next year. And I do mean next year, because at the end of this season we'll just run a couple of events, but we'll get back into it in 2021.
All right. Well, you mentioned it. This is one of the better battles on track right now, but the theoretical battle between Purnell's actually just made his way back past your hair. So I'd be interested to hear the engine notes on Malcolm's Mercedes right about now, because even if I bring it up on screen, I'll be giving away trade secrets from my teammate, but I would 100% would say that he would most likely be in that just slight amount of fuel conservation. It's not going to be, like you said, it's 2 to 3 laps over the journey, but if he can save all of that right now, well, when Purnell gets back to him, because Purnell will definitely, if Purnell wants to win this race, he's got two options. He either responds right now by fuel saving himself like crazy, and then he goes bananas in that last hour of the race, or alternatively, he pushes like what goes crazy right now to get up to Geordie, whilst Geordie might be a little bit fuel saving, and then flip-flops. And then he has to save, but it's putting a lot of pressure on the back end of that race. If you can get that fuel saving out, mentally, you're always going to think you have an advantage, because you know that you're safe on fuel numbers. Your rivals are going to be very airy-fairy, not 100% about where they're going to end up at the back end of things. So, quick listening to Geordie's engine note says to me, I don't think he's saving. He might be saving small amounts, and I'm talking fractions.
Definitely is, particularly towards the end of the main straight there before you head into the chicane, backing out early and rolling the throttle. So he's conserving where he can. It's not aggressive fuel saving, but certainly conserving where he can. You'll hear it here when he gets down towards the bus stop. He'll roll out early and just let the car use a little bit of the lack of throttle to pull the car up a little bit earlier.
Something else to be slightly conscious of, yeah, it was right there going through Blanchimont. Just lifting out of the throttle means that he's a lot more stable through the corner, a lot less likely to make a mistake. So, it'd be interesting to know. I wonder what his fuel number is and what his target is, because it's not a massive amount of saving, is it? It's just enough so that he's still carrying a reasonable amount of pace and trying to make Purnell have to come after him. So I'd say mentally right now his goal is to force Purnell to roll his dice early.
Well, now 36 still to go in this one. We'll just click over that there, and it's 9 seconds is the gap. So Purnell and Trahair together at the moment. About a second gap between them. They're able to work together a little bit, not much, but a little bit to try and address the gap. And then behind them you've got Sebastian Murray-Westberg about 4 seconds further back down the road. So we're very much in a holding pattern at the moment with the race as it sits. Just drivers, everyone getting into the groove, as we always say. Last 30 minutes of the race is the critical period. That's when things generally tend to go pear-shaped. And we'll definitely want you to stick around for that one with us here on FGM eCast. Thanks to those of you who joined so far and commented in the comments and in the chat. Do let us know what you're enjoying and what you want to see, and we'd be more than happy to jump on board your favourite drivers and give you some coverage of them as we get through this one this evening.
I did have a notification that Kodak ended up off track at some point, so I'm not 100% sure when that was. It was in the last lap actually, because he did a 2:38, so that's incredibly slow. Phil Polito's 2 seconds off his qualifying time as well, so I'd say right now that a bulk of the drivers in the GTE field, just based off those sorts of numbers, are backing things up a little bit, conserving fuel, conserving tyres. That's the one thing I can actually say about Geordie. He's no good at saving tyres. I think he might be a little bit. He's going to have some very, very questionable Mercedes rubber at the end of the race. So.
And Frank as well, Hodak, who are on board here, runs or works at the Ben Motorsport Park in Adelaide. So he's just come off the back of that couple of weekends of V8 supercar running out there at the Bend. He's got his new sim rig set up, and I can tell you, I've seen a photo of his racing seat, and it is something to behold. It's an artwork, and a lot of the guys spend a fair bit of money, of course, but they also spend a fair bit of time customising their sim rig setups. The back of Frank's seat has a chromed Ayrton Senna livery on the back of the seat, and it is absolutely spectacular. It's fantastic to see. So he is running a new sim rig. He's almost got it finished and set up, but he's adjusting to that. We've actually got another driver in the field with the same sort of thing. Luke Trahair has just finished only yesterday getting his new computer and screens and sim rig, and he's gone to a direct drive wheel as well. So he's got a whole new setup that he's running tonight as well. So plenty of investment going into improving the rigs for these guys, and for some of them, as I said, they come out as absolute artworks. You can tell just by looking at Frank's car there with the livery that he's put together for himself, how much time and effort he puts into what he does, and the car looks fantastic. So looking forward to seeing what he does as we get into another year next year, because I think he'll only get quicker and quicker as he gets used to that new gear.
Well, I know I'm around the right guys to ask, because I'm literally in the market to start upgrading bits and pieces out of my rig at the moment, so I might have to ask a few questions to the boys at the conclusion of this race then. So, well, mentioned it, we're over half an hour into the race now, just coming up on half an hour into the race, so we're halfway through the first stint. Drivers really starting to settle in. I think Luke Trahair is actually uniquely positioned, because he's pulled ahead of both of the RRT drivers, and that's, if we're talking championship standings, that is exactly what Chris would have wanted from him tonight in the Virtual Motorsport Mentor Audis. So he's doing, a fantastic job. Still only the first quarter of the race, so a long distance to go, and I know he's had probably not the most successful season, and I think one of the more frustrating seasons right throughout the order. There's been quite a few times where you sort of look up and unfortunately Trahair's off track. So I think he's come a long way in that. I think the consistency showing tonight, the fact that he's running in third at this stage of the race, says that a lot of other people whilst he may not have been on raw pace in contention, so we're actually going to be a past full position.
Yeah, I was about
Martin
to say, just
Lofthouse.
see that in the background. So Lofty there, just putting the move on Ron Polito, and Ron keeping the battle up, but unfortunately running wide as a consequence of participation. Ended up on the dirty side of the track, and yeah, that was a good pass there. So we've got Tomo and Lofthouse up into 4th and 5th respectively there. So great job.
I'm never going to like that Porsche. Yeah, so look, Trahair, I think tonight just needs to consolidate and keep moving forward. I think he would be looking. His pace has been reasonable. He's never been, flat out one of the best drivers in the field. But I don't think that's what he was looking for from himself. But last season he struck me for his ability to grab those higher placings, but I think the consistency's just been lacking. So I think tonight that might be his focus. Again, pace will probably be pushed right to the back of his mind. He's just looking for the consistency. And when you're talking in terms of a 2-hour drive, I mean, we break it out at some point and talk about it in just about every race that we're in. But it's a mission. Look at multiple time race winners at Bathurst just passed were the first cars to end up retiring from the race. You know, Whincup put the car in the wall going into the cutting. A lack of patience, was just looking to get on with his race, get past the car, and he just looked a little bit too aggressive for the stage of the race that he was in, and paid the price with having to sit down and watch his teammate bring home a trophy at the other end of it. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for consistency, right, and race awareness in an endurance race.
Yeah, and let's not forget as well when we're looking at Luke Trahere that he is an oval track racer, so he...
oh, well, there you go.
He's definitely at the tail end of his second season of doing circuit racing, so yeah, there's plenty to come from him. He is incredibly quick for someone with such limited experience in circuit racing, so currently I think he was running inside or ended up finishing top 3 in the ANSCAR truck series that we broadcast on a Monday night, so certainly able to do it there, so it won't take him too long to get more accomplished here. I guarantee it will for him next season.
Oh, there you go. I didn't even know that. I was like, I know that I've seen his name somewhere. I just could not place it, and I'd never even thought to associate it with oval racing.
Yeah, absolutely. You probably have seen him there. So, yeah, Luke, very competitive in the oval stuff, but getting involved here with AEE in some circuit racing.
Interesting to note lap times right now. Purnell's running 0.4 of a second faster than Malcolm, so he's looking to really make some time. Big margins sort of made in the first sector, and then in the last couple sectors, which is a lot of where Malcolm is actually doing the fuel saving. So I'm gonna say that I'm sure that Purnell is very much, I mean, you know, it'd be remiss to say to him that he's not aware of what his current race target and what his situation is in terms of fuel, but I think right now he's kicking those horses a little bit harder than he really wants to.
Yeah, more than likely. He would prefer to be conserving, I think, than doing anything else.
He strikes me as that kind of guy, the kind that just sort of wants to be patient and just let others, you know, drive themselves out of the wrong position whilst always making sure that he keeps to his numbers. Very methodical, you know?
Well, only time will tell. He's got a job to do, and at the moment, currently 6.7 seconds behind Jordan Malcolm leading the pack. So let's have another crack at some of the drivers going into the GT3 field. Just keep looking at this battle here that has stretched out a little bit now. So Matty Bowler is 2 seconds now out from Timothy Russell, so the gap has stretched ever so slightly again. And Matty's sitting 2 seconds drift of our race leader Braden Nash. But a comfortable gap over Russell, so it's not by any stretch of the imagination a position securing gap, but as we get started down towards that first pit stop window, we need to get to the hour mark. We see what happens in that first pit stop, so keep an eye on this one here. Ron Polito has dropped off a little bit as well off Lofthouse, as that pass happened a few laps ago now, with Lofthouse 5 seconds or so up the road. Matty Broom coming through behind Rod Polito as well. He is 9 seconds further down the track, and off track there, absolutely, from Polito running very wide, which is easy enough to do there if you don't get the turn in quite right. And this is actually our closest battle on the track.
It's called Blanchimont. Blanche, for those who don't know, is French for white. So, something to do with the colour white.
White knuckles?
White knuckle, white mountain.
The white knuckle corner? Because it is a bit white
knuckle. Knuckle. Give me 2 seconds, I'll see if I can look it up.
If only there were this thing that you could use.
Google Translate?
I'm
literally where I'm going right now.
Is that where you're going? Google Translate?
Yeah.
What random
so knuckle.
We're going to ask the audience. No, we haven't spoken about it.
Ooh. Actually, you know what's in its 35th year of celebrating its 35th anniversary is Back to the Future.
I did see that. I saw a lot of posts about was it 35th or 30 years?
35th. 35th.
Yeah, wow. So I did see that as we've got a notification here that Michael Spithill has had another crash as well. Just quickly jump on that one while it's in the monitor.
Other major... Okay, we'll get to that in a sec, yeah.
He's just dropped the tyre.
Oh! He's
That's-
not enjoying himself at
That's a
Blanchmont
big one.
tonight.
No, he will not be happy with that as a consequence. Again, fortunately, he's going to be close to pit lane, but that's a pit stop he does not need to have at this point in time in the race. So just battling hard tonight.
It translates to bleaching.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. And for those of you out there who are in my sort of age bracket, William Zabka celebrating his birthday today, of course, joining from The Karate Kid, the original one. Happy birthday to him. A movie that a lot of us in that sort of 30 to 40-year-old age bracket now would have spent a fair bit of time watching, and of course the real hero in that movie when that boy moved into the neighbourhood, stole his girlfriend, broke his radio, and then took his karate championship off him as well. So happy birthday to him.
So, what very famous sci-fi movie was also in the cinemas at the same time as Back to the Future 3?
Star Trek.
Wasn't Star Trek.
Star Wars.
It was a Star Wars movie.
It was.
Yeah, I think it was 2. I think it was, yeah, Empire Strikes Back from
So
memory.
5? We can't open that can of worms on a live broadcast.
Future 3. I'm literally looking up release dates now.
Speaking did well there just to pull out the way in the last minute, not quite seeing Polito just coming up over the crest of the hill. So if you're driving there from Michael Spithill, see where he enters the race after that incident. And I can tell you what, if we do want to open a can of worms in the chat, I recently went through the process with my lovely kids of watching Star Wars, and the question was asked, which order do we watch them in? And controversially, we ended up watching them in number order, not in production date order, because we thought that the earlier movies or the newer movies were going to be easier for them to relate to and probably to understand, because my kids are below 10 years old. Easier for them to understand what's actually going on by watching and understanding how Anakin becomes Darth Vader and Vader and Skywalker comes about. So we did go with that order to much conjecture. I'm sure there'll be plenty who would disagree with us running that one first, but that is what we ended up deciding. So let us know what you think. What would you do? Would you take your kids through 4 through 6 and then 1 through 3, or would you start with The Mandalorian and completely throw the book out?
Well, I mean, you know, why not even start with Rogue One? Tell them the backstory to the story that requires another backstory.
The story of the other backstory. You just see Chris Pennell there getting lapped by Brad Nash at the front of the field.
Okay,
he's
so
still
it's
doing really quick laps here, Nash. Best of the race so far for him is a 14.36, and at the moment, last lap around was a 14.67, so still travelling very quickly as we get to 20 minutes before that pit window opens.
I may have been a little bit off in my Back to the Future versus Star Wars comments.
I was a bit
So Back to
surprised
the
about that. I
Future
thought
1.
maybe it might have been Star Wars, the final
Sixth.
Star Wars movie.
Yeah, well, see, Back to the Future 1 released in 1985, and Return of the Jedi was 1983. But I'm just trying to look up. I think that may have been. That's Australian release dates, and I remember it was an American billboard that I was looking at. But I would go ahead and say, the only reason that I even know this is I've seen an image somewhere, and I have this weird memory that I'll lock onto things that I'll see once and I'll never come up again. And it's one of those things where I've seen a movie billboard out the front of the cinema, up above the cinema itself, and gone, Back to the Future and Star Wars were both on it, so I may have been led astray by advertising.
Well, that wouldn't be the first time that people would be led astray by advertising, of course. No, it certainly wouldn't, as we just see here, Braden again, just approaching our GT3 leader, Jordan Malcolm. So 20 minutes to go outside the hour, and it is a full lap of the field for Braden Nash, who is well set in at the moment at the front of the pack here, and Malcolm does a good job being aware of his surroundings, just gives plenty of room. It's a very wide corner there, so able to allow Nash through. And Chris Greaves in the chat, great one, Braden. Yeah, doing a ripper job once again. And looks set to continue the battle, of course. What we have passed over a little bit here is that battle between the drivers to grab that number 1 for next season. And at the moment, Braden Nash and Chris Purnell are the two drivers fighting for that position overall. And Braden will open up his lead a little bit further here as it stands, with him running in first position, and we do have Chris at the moment running in second position in his class in the GT3, so that has going to slightly stretch the gap heading to the Nürburgring in a couple of weeks' time, which will challenge the drivers as well. So who's going to take out number 1, not only just the championship, so we've got our overall championship for the outright points leader of any driver, the class championship for GTE and GT3, and our teams championship too. So not to complicate things, as Nash there runs really wide on the exit, so here we've got an off-track for that. Off-track limit pretty high here tonight at 50, so not expecting anyone to get penalised too much, but not seeing drivers take advantage of it as well, which allows us to set the limit that high.
And the other, well, I mean, the major thing from a driving perspective that you've got to be aware of, there's a lot of spaces on the exits of corners right on the outside, whereby it's so easy to just run the car over a curve just a little bit too aggressively. If the drivers were taking advantage of it, the main places that you'd see it with the launch mob, you kind of can't really take too much of an advantage of it at Rouge and Rodillion, because there is actually a slowdown penalty that is quite hefty if you run over the inside curve, Rodillion. So and it's at the worst part of the track to really have to shave off speed too. Yeah. So
it's not even the 4 seconds that you cop. It's the 10 seconds or 15 seconds that actually cost you, because it's in the middle of one of the fastest parts of the track.
So would you want to have a go and guess the maximum gradient at Eau Rouge to Rodillion?
Maximum gradient?
Yeah, so like how many meters?
Change.
Yeah, well, not the elevation change, gradient percentage in terms of like how far for how many you climb.
Ooh, no, not even. No idea whatsoever.
It's 18%. So that's approximately for every 5 meters of horizontal space you cover, you gain 1 meter in height.
Yeah, well, so to put it into context, how would we find that out about the dipper?
You just measure it, distance covered by, if you're talking from Skyline to the dipper, distance covered by, altitude change.
Well, I'll let you do the maths on that and get back to us to let us know, because it's all new to me, but interesting. It is quite a steep climb. It is that one of those tracks where I think until you see it, and I haven't, but I think like Bathurst where I have been, until you see it, you probably don't quite appreciate the way that the cars come through. And there's plenty of Formula 1 videos that get around that actually show those F1 cars. In fact, one was released this year before they ran. Just absolutely flying up through that section of the track, and you get an idea of how quick they're travelling and the elevation change. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. I have no context for it in terms of the numbers, but can certainly tell from what I've seen just how severe the change is.
So 174 meters is the elevation change across the entirety of the circuit. Grades 1 in 6.13. So Eau Rouge is slightly more steep, than the dipper.
only slightly, yeah. So that gives me plenty of context. I think this, of course, the length have changed as well. So if you're talking about just at the dipper in context of Eau Rouge, the dipper's a much shorter corner to have that significant elevation change than on Rouge because there's obviously more track. So
and the
yeah,
speed
but
differential as well of the corners.
either way, stiff. Like one going up, the other one going down. So definitely a fast and entertaining section of the track. One of the best bits to get right when you do get it right. When you get it wrong, it hurts a lot.
Actually miss from racing is older racing games where they'd actually let you reverse some of the tracks. I'd love that around Spa. That'd be insane.
It would be cool to try it reverse and run down the hill. As we just see there. Speaking of that, Tomo doing a good job to catch that one. Started to get a little bit loose on him.
There's no way in hell that you'd be able to carry that much speed. No way.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the risk would be that pit wall, which would end up being on the outside of the corner, that would punish you. But you've also then got to try and get it stopped for what would be a left-hand hairpin at the end of it. So, it'd be an interesting one to run back to front. That would be good.
Yeah, the source would be so tricky backwards.
They should do it.
They should. I agree. I agree, 100%, 100%. And also, your first corners of the lap would be the chicane. And then you'd go from there down into Blanchemont. Blanchemont wouldn't be anywhere near as scary.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, to see what happens. I'm not sure there's any games you can do that on anymore, actually. I don't even think Gran Turismo provides you that ability.
Well, that was. I recall. I think. Well, actually, no. I can basically. No, sorry, that's a lie. I was about to say, I'm pretty sure my first ever racing game, full stop, was Need for Speed High Stakes, and a lot of those tracks you could drive in reverse, but that wasn't my first racing game. My first ever racing game was Indy 95 on a Windows 95, and we just had a free disc, and it wasn't even the full game. It was one of those MS-DOS discs that just come with like the demo portions of a whole bunch of games on them.
Well, for those of you out there who have done not even online racing, but computer racing for a long period of time, you may remember Papyrus came out with an IndyCar game way back. Now when we're talking 1996, 1997, maybe even
That's the game. It's Papyrus was familiar. That's the game. I remember their logo.
Yeah, so they're actually iRacing is Papyrus. So they.
Oh, you're kidding me!
The guys that developed Papyrus IndyCar way back when it was a CD, they are the engineers and the business behind iRacing. So they've been doing it for that long. That's why the product's so good that we get to enjoy every week, or every day even. Yeah, that's what they did before this.
The laps. Anything was IndyCars with a keyboard with a keyboard.
With a keyboard.
At,
I remember even giving it a go with a joystick back in the day. Well, because joysticks were new, so I'm a little bit older than you are. So joysticks were brand new. You get a joystick, you're like, oh, this is great. Suction cap to the desk, and it was all good until it came off mid corner, and then you ended up, careening off into the distance. So yeah, they're the ones behind this. So they've had
the
plenty
layout.
of time.
The UI is actually quite similar, strikingly similar.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a fantastic game. I remember back in the day, very, very much ahead. Before that, I was playing Accolade Formula 1. If that rings any bells, that was on disc, not CD. I had that on disc. So going right back now to when I was 8 to 10 years old. That was probably the first racing game I ever played on a PC at home.
I remember floppy disks. I was around for the very tail end of floppy. Wow, my god, I can't believe that now. I was introduced to iRacing before iRacing.
You were, yeah, absolutely you were.
And it took 20 years to come full
even
circle.
Sorry, just to change tack here. I've noticed the gap between Bowler and Russell has decreased now. We're down to 1.3 seconds from 2. Probably half a dozen laps or so ago.
Even more importantly is I believe Jordan Malcolm has actually just opted to come down pit lane. So I could see in the background.
No, I think you've been tricked by the entry
Yeah, I
here.
think I have. But I could see that gap was actually very, very close. So Purnell has just assumed the lead of the GT3
I was going
class.
to say, what's actually happened is Malcolm's had an off-track somewhere because his last lap was 2 seconds down on his prior effort. So, and that has allowed Purnell to take the lead
And not just take the lead, but take the lead and immediately move clear of the draft right before coming onto the kennel. So Malcolm needs to make sure that he can make up, and it's not much. We're talking tenths of a second here to get back in the draft range so that you can keep conserving fuel.
So we'll keep an eye on the Bowler-Russell argument, and equally we'll stick with this one for a minute because he's back in the draft now, or just on the boundary of it. So we'll see if he can get hold of it as they come down the back straight before Blanchemont. That's where he's going to get it. The Mercedes certainly faster in a straight line than the Audi.
Just utilises another one of those off tracks.
Mate, you've got them there, you might as well spend them. There's no point going to the grave with all of them in the bank.
It's what we actually, well, conveniently, at the same sort of track in the Oz Pro-Am series, was we actually talked about a lot of those guys. Jack Boyd, I know that Bergens was in that conversation as well because he got caught out with a little bit of a slide very early in the race, dropped a few positions. He really managed his number of off tracks to try and get his way a little bit further forward, and then eventually he just ran out of them because he wasn't far enough forward and he made a few more errors. So
you've just triggered something in me that I think that I need to investigate further, which is I'd love to see Jack and Jeff Boyd jump into AEE as a team.
I agree. I think that'd be phenomenal for the series.
Jack is extremely quick. Jeff massively developed over that season, and I'd really like to see them compete in this championship. As we'll see, Jordan Malcolm definitely taking advantage of the draft as he moves up towards the back. And a little bit of traffic coming through here with Tomo about to lap these two drivers, and not too far as well as Mark Lofthouse. So this is going to get real interesting real quick, particularly as we get to go through this next section of the track. Good idea to get out of the way here and let them go through. That's what I would be doing, and that's exactly what Geordie's going to do, because you don't want them harassing you through this section of the track where they are quicker.
What I was just about to say is that Tomo's going to get enough of a run to get by Geordie. Actually, I think Geordie's about to get... It wouldn't surprise me if he gets a slowdown from that.
And he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely has. So that's going to damage him there. As you can see, that gap blow out between Purnell and but over 2.5 seconds now.
Now Purnell has got to release the other set of lap traffic there at inopportune time. And I tell you what, perfectly timed, Stu. I was just looking at the timing monitor. Guess who else is back in a drafting range?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was keeping an eye on both of them. So Matty Bowler here could be under some pressure in the next couple of laps from Timothy Russell, of course, both running the Porsche. We certainly know that those NSR Porsches are quick in a straight line, so it is going to definitely benefit Russell more so than normal to jump into the draft there and grab some extra Ks down the long stretch with the tow from Bala.
Keep our eyes on now. We are 53 minutes into the race, so those guys who opted to push on their first stint are going to be getting into the box in a couple of laps time. And it's going to be so important in terms of racecraft, fuel management, and the entirety of the remainder of your evening as to how much longer past the hour mark you can go. We know Spit Hill has definitely had to be through the lane multiple times tonight to pick up fast repairs, and there is no doubt in my mind he would have grabbed more than a splash of fuel the second time around. He was probably a quarter of a way into the stint when the second one occurred, so things to keep in the back of your mind now. As Bauer opts to jump on the flashing lights there for a few moments.
Might just be
I reckon that
Rez know that he's there.
Probably just, more of a warning. Hey, look, I'm a mile back. I mean, it's the thing, isn't it? I'm sure we've mentioned it before. Flashing lights seems to get a lot of people irked up in iRacing. It's not about the lights flashing. A lot of the time, the lights flashing is, hey, look, I'm here, I'm coming. You know, it's not necessarily a I'm coming right now, but it's also used as a these cars don't have horns, so it's used in replace of an offensive horn sometimes. And I tell you what, that's Matty Broom in the lane.
First of our GTE lane, Matty Broom has jumped in early. He's an hour and 4 out, so he's going to have to conserve for the next stint. And we can see here just how long the pit lane is. This right-hand turn at the end of the old to new pit lane is very sharp as well. We've seen plenty of drivers come unstuck there and just pile the car straight into the wall on the way into pit lane and ruin the race. But at least they're already where they need to be to get some repairs done. But Matty Broom first, the drivers through pit lane.
Tell you what, when we get to the cycle pit lanes, I've got a story about Jordan Malcolm and that endurance pit lane for you, but we'll get there first, because he is going to hate me telling that one. It is literally his least favourite moment in iRacing endurance, so...
I'll let you get into the ditch there with that one, as we see here. Timothy Russell trying to put a move on. Bowler defending there quite well. Not in the same way that Brody Kostecki did over the weekend, but doing some good defensive work there to keep him behind. Russell's got the speed up here and he's on it at the moment, and I can't help but think that Braden might be conserving a little bit of fuel. Albeit his pace has hardly dropped off at all. His last lap was 2/10 away from his fastest lap of the day. So potentially tyres maybe, end of stint, low fuel maybe. I'm not sure what it is there. It's just Timothy Russell's car's come to life as the track has gripped up. So he's actually done the second fastest lap of the race, a 10th behind Braden Nash, and he's done that for 2 laps in a row. So just driving very quick at the moment. That RT Porsche ready and waiting to try and take second place.
Yep, so a little bit of work to do, and again, having a look at the speeds in a straight line, Timothy Russell finally with the draft manages to put 273 kilometres an hour on the board. Braden Nash, though, still the fastest, with the exception of Ron Polito, of the entire of the field with a 274, and Ron Polito matched it. Oh no, there's a 280 from Frank Hodak, actually.
Yeah,
that's
it does
interesting.
Seem to vary a little bit. I'm not sure how accurate that readout actually is, because I saw 282 from Bowler before with no draft. That's a huge number for a car to put in with no assistance, so maybe not quite as accurate as we need it to be.
Oh well.
Still fun to speculate though, we'll call it as it is.
Average top speed data, maybe.
Yeah, it is what it is. 280 k's, of course.
Yeah, we decided we were trying to estimate the top speed of these cars in a straight line. We threw up a dartboard, painted some numbers on it, and threw darts at it until we went, yeah, that one will probably do.
We hit the same number twice, and that's what it was. So as the gap closes again down here with the draft, just right here is where the maximum gain is. Just gaining 2/10 just in that section there, just going through Blanchimont. So that's where the maximum is. Oh, as we see Russell go in, Russell in pit lane. Now he's going to be just shy. He is going to be just shy, so he's definitely going to have to fuel save. Albeit, having said that, obviously the transition down pit lane comes into account as well. So the transition here will be about a minute, so he may make it home on the scent of an oily rag, so to speak. But we'll just see what happens here. It's going to be a borderline for him. He's been pushing all race though, so if this is where he's got to, pushing hard, then I reckon he might make the end of this one.
It will call me devil's advocate, as we very often do in this series. But I reckon this might be a strategy call, because I think Nash and Bowler might be, they're right at the end of their stint as well. So whether or not he's going, right, I think I'm faster than Bowler right now, let's do the undercut. I don't think that that's the case, and I think you'll agree with me, because we're seeing a fair few other cars in the pits, but that's not the main reason. The main reason is, actually, Malcolm has gone another lap further than Purnell has. So like I said, like you picked up, Malcolm was saving for sure, but Purnell rolled the dice early.
A little bit of strategic gear changing going on there, just to maximise the speed limiter on these cars. But yeah, Purnell, I just jumped on that there, pitting in early. Timothy Russell obviously in. We've got Polito and Hodak in now as well. So these guys making it, I think effectively making it to that critical lap. but it means that by the end of it, they're going to be really light on fuel, and it comes down then to what lap does the flag fall. So, you know, if Braden Nash, if he is in the lead at the end of this one, if he crosses the start-finish line with 2 seconds to go, then there's going to be one more lap. And that's, you know, that's going to cause some of these drivers to have a little bit of heartache, I think.
Yeah, and, well, hopefully they've done their homework. Hopefully they've done their numbers. I'm expecting, at most, Nash is going to go...
Oh, he's gone another. So he's a full 2 laps up.
So, again,
Bowler's
I think strategy call.
Bowler is in.
Yeah, Bowler's got to be in.
Nash, another lap.
Well, I'll tell you what,
So
maybe the roles have been reversed. Yeah, Nash will be home for
Nash
sure.
will be home. Even if he cuts that extra lap, he's going to be home. And we'll see Luke there coming to pit lane as well. Braden O'Loughlin coming to pit lane.
Bowler, if he did still have fuel in the tank and this isn't him running dry, he has decided that he needs to cover off the undercut. This could be an undercut cover as well, because theoretically it's not impossible for Timothy Russell to try to have attempted an undercut there. He would have had to have done a lot of work, and I don't think either of us think that that's capable.
The other thing I was just taking a note of here is the BMW running in the GTE field tonight. Incredibly good on fuel economy, the BMW, and Tomo here doing another lap. I want to see how many more laps he's going to get out of the tank. His teammates just jumped into pit lane this lap around 58 minutes to go, and currently moving up into 2nd place because he's still got to go through the pit lane transition, so that won't stick. But it wouldn't surprise me if he gets at least another lap out of the BMW before he has to pit. It has got a bigger tank than the Porsche. Porsche runs a 99 litre tank. I'm pretty sure that the M8 has a 110 litre tank.
I think it's 105. Yeah, it's either 105 or 110.
It is going to be a couple more laps, but obviously that plays into the strength of that car, meaning he does not have to fuel conserve whatsoever.
My favourite section of the race is always the pit stops. I'm sorry.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I love it. So who's going to make it? Well, we know Nash is going to make it. Thomas is going to make it to the end. Matty Bowler should make it to the end. Timothy Russell maybe make it to the end. He's probably got the biggest question mark. A minute 42 pit lane transition time for those cars as well. So, yeah, we'll just see as Matty goes in. Braden does go in this lap. So,
Polito took tyres too. Something to be aware of. 30 seconds longer with his pit stop time.
Let's
and Phil followed him. Phil did exactly the same. Yeah.
What we might do is we'll jump back to it and see if we can get right the way down to the far end of the pit lane. And in fact, you know, we won't. We'll give everyone a view of just how long a pit lane this actually is. We'll stick on board with him here. So that's the old section of the track. I think
Malcolm's still in the pits, so we're okay. Okay, so that gate that we just passed through, this is the story of Gate. Coming up to the final pit stop in the 6 hours of Spa in the GTE Porsche. Jordan Malcolm and I, we're doing okay. We're sitting right on around the top 10. Comes down pit lane. This is after his first stop of the day went a little bit awry when he coughed, spluttered, and the car stopped less than 10 meters from our box. He come round the incredibly tight La Source hairpin in pit lane and flipped the car on the gate, blocking pit lane.
Oh dear.
So what ended up looking, when we did the math, we would have gotten a top 5. What ended up being a top 5, I think, blew out to 22nd or something. So, yeah, gate.
Oh, that hurts. It hurts more than just hitting the gate.
Because it was, it's an iRacing bug too. The wheel got onto the concrete edges. It's because the chunky edges around the gate. It grabbed the concrete and the wheel just rode up the concrete.
No tyres there.
There's no way. No, he's fine.
And it's our point as well, so he did get that extra lap in. He's transiting through pit lane now, so things will return to normal here. Looks like Nash is going to maintain the lead of this race. Yes, he is. So. This could well be our first lap 1 to, or should I say, first second to 2 hour leader of the race uninterrupted that we've seen this season. So shows you the dominance of those NSR Porsches. We've still got here the battle between Bowler and Russell not resolving itself as a consequence of the pit stops. It's still nice and close between those two. Sebastian Westberg in pit lane as well.
Yeah, so there's a fair few question marks flying around at this point in time. Sebastian Westberg, I actually did see when we were watching pit lane, he was crawling through in the background. He actually had a crinkle in his front end bumper. So at some stage he's made contact with something and not running as cleanly as he would like. So things to keep in the back of your mind is if Timothy Russell has been in this draft for such an extended period of time, he's going to wear his tyres out and has that question mark over him on fuel. So he has the most questions to answer, shall we say.
Murray Westberg in pit lane at the moment. I think you did mention before, and apologies if I missed it, that Jordan Malcolm took tyres, Chris Purnell did not.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, Jordy's he's not kind to them. He drives it like a go-kart.
Interestingly enough, mixed strategies between the drivers, as we've seen a notification that Malcolm has had an incident actually.
Oh no, that's a lot of smoke. That makes me believe it might have actually been coming into the chicane or through Blanchemont. Yep, cold tyres.
Cold tyres, and that is a jump into pit lane immediately style response that will be required there.
Shame, he's doing a really good job tonight.
But, he needs to get that back to pit lane, which he will do.
Go-karter. Jordan Malcolm go-karter. Drives a GT3 car like a go-kart and burns the tyres up like 1-2.
What that does, however, is it has Sebastian Murray Westberg now up in second place. So he's done a ripping job to move up in the second spot from fifth. Just through some consistent driving. In fact, we haven't actually said a lot about Seb tonight, and partly that's just because he's been running his own thing. You can see that car there incredibly clean, like it's been driven straight out of the detailers, and currently running in second place. Albeit he is a minute behind Chris Purnell. He's 3 seconds ahead of Braden O'Loughlin, currently running in third, Luke Trahere in fourth. So again, team championship wise, that is a good result for him. Michael Spithill as well, currently running around about 40 seconds behind Luke Trahere. So in terms of the team battle in the GT3 class, that's where the drivers are at. Of course, overall, those two teams competing for outright honours with NSR at the top of the grid. And you can see there Nash and Bowler leading. Are going to, unless Luke Trahere can get over the O'Loughlin and Murray Westberg entries, they will extend their lead at the top of the team's championship.
What's second place worth? You said first place was worth 30 points.
Yeah, so we're talking 30 points, 28 points for second place.
So 58 points is maximum on offer for any of our teams, because we haven't got any split teams. One driver in GT, one driver in GT3. So.
Certainly deliberately done. It stops any perceived notion that one class might be easier to win than the other, and the effect that may have on the team. So, at the end of the day, a win's a win. You win the GT3s, you've beaten all the other GT3 drivers, and likewise in the GTEs. So,
yeah. No, I like it. I mean, I didn't know it was written into the rules, but there you go. I learned something. Ask a question, get a response.
Learn something new every day.
No more learning tonight.
Yeah, no more learning for you today.
My head hurts.
So at this stage, it's just one driver out of the race at the moment, which is Reece Ashwell, which is unfortunate. His technical difficulties this evening causing him to drop out. Otherwise, we've still got everyone in at this point in time, which is really good to see. As we've got 50 minutes to go in this one, and probably a good time once again to mention our broadcast partners, Aftershock PC, your rig, your choice. Ryan and the crew, St Kilda Road in Melbourne is where you need to go I did see the other day that they had put together a whopping order of brand new 30 series RTX GeForce graphics cards that they'd put together into some new rigs heading out to customers. So extremely busy there, and that can only mean one thing, is that they are good at what they do and their services are in demand. So if you're looking for a new computer that will help you, whether it be game, do video editing, or whatever it is that you might need to do with the computer, definitely contact them. They do mail out as well, albeit hopefully as of next week everything is open in Melbourne. You can go and pick it up from them, as we did when we ordered our new computer from them, and definitely the place to go. So jump on board with Aftershock PC. We certainly appreciate their support on our coverage, as they have been, in fact they were a pioneering partner with our channel. When we reached out to Ryan and said, look, are you interested, this is what we're trying to start, they jumped on board straight away. So we really do appreciate their support in launching this channel and everything that we've got planned for next year as well. Look forward to them coming back on board with us to do that, and of course Virtual Motorsport Mentor as well, Chris Purnell and his crew, doing a ripping job helping drivers get better. All the best players have coaches, even Serena Williams, she's got a coach. And you know how many titles she's won. So all the best have coaches, and Chris Purnell and his team offer that to you. If you're looking to get faster with your iRacing, looking to get quicker with your oval track stuff or on the dirt, then Chris Purnell and the team at Virtual Motorsport Mentor are the place to go. I have used Chris's services in the past, and I certainly did improve my lap times. I know you equally as well.
Yep.
Scotty, have been a customer of Chris's. In fact, in that car that's on screen right now, I believe.
Yeah, we were, well, like I was saying, the American Le Mans Series, we were setting up the first round for it at Sebring, and it was a good opportunity to take the car out for a spin and learn that I have an arcade racer's driving style of turning into the corners too early.
Something I think we're all guilty with when we get onto this, because you drive it like you're playing an arcade game, when really you need to drive it more like a real car. Like you normally would. So did Chris give you any help with setting up or making changes to the way you currently run your setup or anything like that as well?
Yes, because I was well, one thing I said was that I think I'm okay-ish with our tyre wear, but that seems to be where the big issue is, and I know that Geordie's just falling off the deep end with his tyre wear, and he said, yep, look, to make these couple of tweaks and you'll be slightly down in grip, and he says emphasis on slightly, but your tyre life will be so much better for it. So
yeah, absolutely.
And just when you run out of things to do, when you're sitting there and you're trying so many things that it's just not working, just having that voice of reason to talk to, especially when I'm trying to learn how to set up a car appropriately, was very important. It gave me a lot more confidence in my own abilities, sent me back out on track. And we were running first and second until my computer crashed with a lap to go. So
yeah, and it's true, you can get I mean, there's the old keep it simple stupid. You can get overwhelmed by the amount of things you can change, even just within the steering wheel or the view or anything like that, when you get into
alone the way that you drive the car as well.
There's so many contributing factors to going fast in this, like there are in real motor racing, albeit the tools you have to adjust that are different. So having someone to help with the experience that Chris has is always fantastic. So again, we're very appreciative of his support. Same deal, he actually sponsors a lot of iRacing series as well, so he's very generous in that respect. So we were, again, greatly appreciative of him jumping on board our series, as he did without hesitation when we approached him for it, and his support.
He's got a give back attitude, and that comes across in his coaching as well. Like, I'm not just saying this because obviously he's a broadcast sponsor. I wouldn't personally. I'm not the kind of person to give praise unjustly. He deserves it. 100% deserves it. As a coach, he's easy to work with. Group sessions are available if you're looking to key yourself up for endurance racing. It's one of the best ways to go. Or if you're at your wit's end and you just can't get something to figured out the way that you want to. You know, he's available. He said, look, always welcome to come pick my brain. If you're just struggling, you want to know just a tweak or something, you know, just reach out. And we're here. You know, it's not just coaching. It's also it is mentoring as well. So
yeah, absolutely. So if you haven't got the message, Virtual Motorsport Mentor is the place to go if you're looking for some coaching or help. So again, thank you to our broadcast partners for jumping on board with us and helping us do what we enjoy doing, bringing you this on a Thursday night, and of course all our other streams as well. 45 minutes, well, just less than 45 minutes to go now. And what have we got to look forward to from here? So the gap at the front is still close. Let's jump on board. We'll do a quick rundown of our field, and I've gone one car too early here, and apologies for that for anyone out there wondering how Braden Nash is going. He's going 6 seconds to the good at the front of the field. I just realised as well that the ticker across the top of the screen showing you their fastest lap times, that's not very helpful whatsoever, other than in the context of a conversation about fastest lap times. But I can tell you there that we've got Braden Nash 6 seconds to the good in front of his partner in crime, Matty Bowler, who is running in second place. He's being given the hurry by Timothy Russell, and not quite able to get the job done in the draft yet, but I can guarantee he's going to keep the pressure on for the next 43 minutes. It's going to be a battle of who is going to be the first to blink. A little bit further back down the road, Martin Lofthouse in 4th position, and he's just moved past, I believe that was Braden O'Loughlin there, who's running in 3rd, doing a fantastic GT3s in a moment. Martin Lofthouse in 4th position. Got Tomo in the BMW in 5th. He's done his pit stop as well, and he's refueled and ready to go to the end. We haven't talked about the fuel question yet, but there is a fuel question over some of these drivers, Ron Polito being one of them, who did a pit before we got to the hour mark, and he will have to stop again unless he conserves fuel like a madman. Currently running in 6th for the Polito followers out there. Matty Broom equally will be another one of those drivers who needs to pit again, pitting on lap 24, so he's going to have plenty of work to do with the race, likely to go to around lap 52. Frank Hodak is currently a little timely brake lock up there for us. Currently running in 8th. Good performance for him up in 8th position from his qualifying position. We've got Phil Polito in 9th. And then we end up with Rez Polito currently running in 10th. Another one of obviously the Polito Brothers Motorsport cars. And that rounds out our field for the GTEs. Won't let you take it away for the GT3s if you can with the run through there.
absolutely. So leading us off in terms of GT3s, you actually Stuart just jumps to second place. You like second place this evening, Stuart.
Just like looking at who's in second place.
Chris Purnell, the virtual motorsport mentor himself, leading us out. Not been the easiest of races in terms of the GT3 field. He's made a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes, had to put the foot to the floor, and he's got a little bit of a question mark over his head in terms of fuel, but he has 55 seconds back to Sebastian Murray Wesberg running in the Redback Racing Mercedes. Luke Traher trailing him by 11 and a bit seconds is our third place car. Currently running a little bit out in his own, 6 seconds back to Braden O'Loughlin. Further back down the pack, 15 seconds further back down, is Jordan Malcolm, the man on a mission, who has shown so much great pace this evening, but big mistake immediately after his pit stop has put him a long way down and with a lot of work to do, but with the fuel question mark basically checked off from him, should be good to put the head down and burn rubber. Running in 6th position in this class is Squidhill. Actually, our poleman has made 2 mistakes this evening in the same section of the track at Blanchemont, owing to 2 individual runs through pit lane. No question mark in terms of fuel over his head. He's made his final stop, and he's got the bit between his teeth, albeit 30 seconds behind Malcolm. Finally, rounding us out is Reese Ashmore, who unfortunately left the server this evening early due to a malfunctioning VR headset, and that's your GT3 field.
Jump back into the battle at the front here. What we're going to do is jump on board actually with Timothy Russell. We're going to literally jump on board with Timothy Russell. Let him take us for a lap around the track here while we go and get ourselves a cool refreshing drink before we head into the last 30 minutes of this race. So do enjoy us heading on board with Timothy Russell here as he does a lap around Spa as he chases down Matt Bowler for second outright in this race tonight. Second mark. We're still our closest battle on the track at the moment. In fact, Braden O'Loughlin and Jordan Malcolm close together as well. We're about 10 seconds apart actually. My apologies there, just an issue with the timing monitor. So definitely still our closest battle on the track.
That margin has closed actually between O'Loughlin and Malcolm by about 5 seconds. So
I did see that. That's why the timing monitor, I looked at the wrong section. I haven't quite updated yet. I thought, oh wow, geez, that's got close, but it was actually just the interval between the last laps. So it will keep closing, I imagine, as Jordan Malcolm tries to charge back up the field. Braden O'Loughlin doing a great job as well to be running in 4th position, up 4 spots from his qualifying position. So good effort there on behalf of his team. And my apologies, I just quickly have forgotten the name of it there. I believe he was driving in the Fishy team, but he has moved on. I think with Joe Daly actually in their newly formed team. The Elite Race team, my apologies. So doing a good job there, currently running in 4th in the GT3 class.
yeah, I was just looking for. Does it say Frog Leap?
Yes, it's the Frog Leap
That's
Racing
it.
team. So
That's them.
they're doing a good job there in 4th. Hopefully get a couple more of them on board for next season as well.
I mean, it's that team name. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to forget it now because my initial reaction to it is Leapfrog. No, it's Frog Leap. Why is it Frog Leap? Why is it Frog Leap?
Yeah, absolutely. But doing a good job there as well, and those guys doing plenty of racing too. And I believe they are actually or were recruiting 4 team members too. So if you're interested in joining a team, maybe reach out to Joe and the team and see if you're a fit for them. Chris Purnell still in the lead of this one. Luke Trahair not managing, unfortunately, at the moment to close the gap too much to Sebastian Murray-Westberg in second place. So as we're almost at silly hour, getting towards, I say silly hour, there's only 30 minutes to go when it's silly season on this. I'm not sure what you call it, the madness half hour or the 30 minutes of fame. I don't know. Just struggling for names.
30 or 30?
It is what it is. Oh dear me. It's been a long one. Not a long race.
It is.
Racing's actually
Screw
really
it. How do you put up with me for an entire season, mate? How do you do it?
I don't know. I think it's just we're kind of like Bill Laurie and Tony Gregg.
Yeah. Look, the banter is horrifically bad, but we both enjoy it thoroughly.
Yeah, and there's just that bicker and argue that comes out every now and again, which is all in the spirit of the commentary. It's none of it's anything more than that, but that does come out where we have the butting heads, and I think that's part of the bit I enjoy, to be brutally honest, is contradicting one another to a certain extent. I don't race pigeons, so you must be Bill Laurie, but more than happy to be Tony Gregg. May he rest in peace.
Hey, look, I'm gonna go and buy a pigeon now. I'll leave me alone.
Dear me, yes. But we have spoken before as well on the stream about the fact that the top man should definitely come out of retirement. And of course, moving back to more of that sort of comedy, which I really enjoy.
I love it. Yeah. Commentary. It's just jokes on commentary, like meta. It's really meta jokes, isn't it? It's meta comedy, not meta commentary.
Yes.
Haha. Haha. Got there. Can you believe I'm a married man?
Jump on board here with Ron Polito. About 6 seconds up the straight with Matty Broom. We know Matty Broom's going to have to stop again, so that'll elevate Frank Kodak and Phil Polito up the rank.
Oof. Yeah, there's a question mark over a few drivers. So let's just tick off the drivers that we know are home, right? So Spitty, tick. Sebastian Murray-Westberg, tick. That's about it, isn't it? Braden Nash.
I think
and
lap 27. Lap 27 pit lane entry is the clear lap. Lap 26 is questionable.
26 in the GT3 field is tick, I think.
Yes, because their lap's down, so agree. I think so. We've got Nash home, Bowler maybe, Russell maybe, Lofthouse maybe. So 28's a definite, 27's questionable, 26 I think they're not home. So,
I think Lofthouse is home. Again, BMW, we both said the bigger field teams on the BMW, so we tick there. But the rest of the field's Porsches. Yes, yeah. There's no other cars in that field. It's only Porsches and the one BMW. So the rest of the field is a little bit how you going? So and Russell's doing a phenomenal job. And if he got hit again, he's dead to Lofthouse. So that would elevate Lofthouse to third. So fuel game's still there and thereabouts. GT3 field we said 26. Well, Purnell 25. Trahair, 25. O'Loughlin, 25. Malcolm, his second transit through the lane was 27. Fithill was 29. So SMW in second is good. We think he's good. Malcolm, think he's good. And Spithill, we think is good. So Purnell is going to be fuel saving like a madman. He's not even close to anyone else. So he's got 40 seconds to burn to Wesberg. And actually, that's nearly 10 seconds that Wesberg's taken out this stint alone on Purnell. But I don't think it'll be enough. Purnell's in gap management phase, So he'll be checking off as much fuel saving right now as he possibly can. And then when that gap gets down to sub 20 seconds, he should be right on fuel and he'll push on a little bit more. So that's, you know, question mark number 1 out of the way. GTE wise, I'm going to be honest, I think Russell's got a splash.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think he's there.
He's in the draft. He's in the draft and has been for such an extended period of time that if he's been... See, it's so easy. It's so easy as a driver to set your eyes on the car ahead and go, I want him. I want him. I really want to be in front of him. I don't want to be behind him. But Russell's also smart enough and capable enough of a driver to be better than that. So I'm really curious as to where he is on fuel. He's got the potential from where he stopped to get home. Whether or not we see it is a totally different question. Everyone else other than Lofty, I think are going to pit again because they're not around anyone. So they can't be fuel saving and managing their pace. And a lot of the laps that I'm looking at are very, very close to their fastest lap of the race. So I think we've got a whole bunch of drivers that are completely unlit at sea, and I think there's a chance that the ordering come 5 minutes to go could get shaken up significantly.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. But that's why we like the last 30 minutes, and of course there's the factor coming into it as well. On top of what's going to happen with pit strategy, and we've got an interesting one coming up here at the end. What is a certain is Nash now still gap's slightly closed, but still around that 5 second mark, and he's still lapping around the fastest times he has done all day this year. Still the closest battle on the track, less than pushing out a little bit to 6/10, but the draft is playing advantage to Timothy Russell.
Needs to if he's going to get home. Unfortunately, I did get up. Well, I say unfortunately. Stuart's obliged to give me a break during the telecast if I want it. No, I got up and I walked away and I actually had my headset off, so I wasn't actually listening to see whether or not Timothy Russell was fuel saving. Foot fetish Phil, oh lord, I can't read the rest of that.
Resurrection are the menage a trois to beat. That's wow. Polito Pervs forever. Yeah, very good. I didn't know what Rez's name was, but there you go. There it is. So for those of you watching, we've got the trio.
Menage a trois.
Yes, well.
Oh lord.
Help us. Thanks for joining the chat there, Zenon. We appreciate the update. Anyway, we've still got this Bowler and Russell battle happening.
AEE would not be the same without the Politos.
Oh, absolutely not.
They make it.
Founding brothers category.
Is there a category for best nicknames?
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone else has got nicknames like that, so they've got it hands down if there is. It's going to be a little frustrating for Russell here. He just can't quite close the gap beyond that sort of 6/10. So
again, I don't think he wants to. Right now, I think he's sitting in here out of habit. Like, well, not out of habit, out of necessity.
Last lap around, there was 100th between the two, 14.45 to 14.46. So, lap time wise, the gap's not closing, it's not really getting any bigger. It's a decimal point on a pace. So, you know, we'll see what ends up happening. Nash having a slower lap last lap, 17 was his last lap around.
Well, there, that's... I reckon... Okay, hear me out on this. Is he trying to slow up to give Matty the draft?
I don't think so. It's an interesting tactic, but it exposes him to things he just doesn't need to be exposed to. I mean, Matt at the moment is maintaining the gap, so there's no need for him to help that. I'd say I can't see the sector where that happens, but I'd say it's just a blip on the radar. Some traffic causing him to run offline a little bit or something of the like. But now we're down under 5 tenths. We're down to 4 tenths, but again, he's not able to close it up any more than that. It really needs to be right up on him here before we get to the back straight and head through Bonchemont. So
it's 4 tenths. It's getting close. He is absolutely coming.
It's the closest it's been. Sorry, Darren, it's actually me sitting too far away from the microphone while I'm trying to move the cameras around, so I apologize for that. So we're on the back of Matty's car here. You can see close right up under brakes. Sideways there, Russell as well. He's trying to get the job done.
I thought Fowler had a better run through the chicane. Yeah, I didn't see the slip from Russell, so he slide backwards just a little bit.
Yeah, it was only slight as well. Like it wasn't a big drift, but you could certainly see the car just getting a little bit over the top of that left-hand rear tyre, and Matty got a much better run through the bus stop there. So back there, fantastic pictures coming through out of the back of the NSR Porsche. Get to experience that run up through En Rouge.
Russell must have lifted slightly through over Rebellion, because he lost a lot of time down the Camel then. In the draft, yeah. So, well, when I say a lot of time, losing 0.2 of a second down the Camel is a big margin. So,
particularly when we're talking about a battle that is intense, it's a lot of margin to lose. So,
Ash's put his foot on the accelerator a little bit again. 2.14.1 that last time around. So,
yeah, as I said, we didn't get a notification, so I'm just assuming that he might have got caught in some traffic or something like that. You'll see Braden O'Loughlin there doing a good job down the inside to allow this battle to continue. We'll stick
that's
here.
something I did want to mention too, Stuart. I learned something interesting about the pace car this week. So if the pace car comes out during a race, Virginia International is actually where our race on the weekend was. The pace car there takes some funky lines. Through turn 1, it actually runs off on the grass on the outside of the track. Now when it comes back on, it'll actually drag dirt and dust as it comes back on. Did you know that?
I have seen that. I imagine that the pace car division of iRacing is kind of like counting paper clips in the stationary section at Officeworks. So probably not the place where they put most of their attention. Just waiting for the gap.
Also, the pace truck doesn't turn. Its wheels stay straight the whole time, and it also leaves burnout marks, tyre slide marks on the track. So there you go. Things I learned over the weekend.
Jimmy Russell there would have got an off track for that, just running a little bit wide there on the exit. That certainly would have triggered an off track for him.
He's been getting a few actually over the last sort of couple of laps that you sort of been looking up the gearbox here of Bowers, NSR, Porsche. So he's pushing. He's definitely trying to make as much time space as he can. Tyres are going to be right at the back end of their life. It's been a fairly hot race. The track temperature now is down to 31 degrees Celsius. So it has come down, but not massively. So
yeah, probably not as much as I was expecting, to be honest, at this point in time in the race. I thought we'd be into the 20s by now. And of course, these drivers not taking a set of tyres at their stop. So the tyre wear here probably only around to maybe high 60s, low 70s at this point in time. So reasonably kind on the tyre, that left-hand front tyre. In fact, it's pretty balanced around this track. So that, they shouldn't be experiencing too many tyre issues other than the heat in terms of grip. This is where things can get a little bit sketchy on the older tyres as well. If you grab too much of the curb on the inside there, you end up either out in the weeds or out in the fence. So you've got to manage that as the tyre gets a little bit older.
that phase of the race, yeah, it's just right now, just slightest little bit of a mistake puts load through the tyre and requires grip from the tyre that's not 100% there right now. They should be okay. It shouldn't be an issue. But if you just push things just slightly too far, then that's when it starts to become an issue. So just be aware of that from the drivers right now. They're pushing as hard as they possibly can, that much is for sure. Fuel's still a question, right? There's no resolution on that, and there won't be for 15 minutes time yet. And the tyres aren't looking their squeaky cleanest that they have. Not like a V8 supercar. These GT style cars, they can double stint a set of tyres and still be fine. Is that Malcolm back up into 4th?
Yes,
I think. So.
Currently running 4th on track, so
Made his way around breaking spot.
once again he's confronted by the situation of having two the GTEs come through on him into the straight. He'll move across one way or the other and get out of the way. A little bit of use of the draft there.
Nash just did his best lap this session, but I think he must have had an off track because he didn't update his best lap so far.
Yeah, true. So 13.67 there, and he did have an off track as well. Looks like towards the start of that lap, so potentially through first couple of corners. Whereas Polito is now in front of Bowler and Russell. Back up to position 10 outright for these two in terms of lap traffic.
It's management central, isn't it? I mean, the benefits of getting a longer track is that you will, a longer lap time is that you see traffic a lot less. And the difference between the classes here is much greater than you would see at certainly other tracks. There's been Charlotte Roval was recently running in official sessions. Oh, LMP2 cars plus GTE cars plus GT3 cars did not fit on Charlotte Roval at the same time. It was a nightmare.
I mean, and this is where we get the advantage. Obviously, last fortnight at Road Atlanta, it's an extremely difficult track to manage traffic on because there's traffic everywhere all the time with multi-class racing.
It's across the top of the mountain at Bathurst. For those of you who haven't taken a trip, or driven around Road Atlanta, that's probably the closest that you can really get to it. Really, it's very similar.
But equally, iRacing, in all their wisdom of adding extra cars and doing what they've done, haven't done a great job of updating the licensing system and the way that people get categorised. So you've got drivers who, to be brutally blunt about it, can't drive a GT3 car, let alone an LMP2 car, jumping into long 10 to 12 hour endurance races in a car that just haven't set out yet to drive in. And there's no way that iRacing will figure out yet how to moderate it so that the quality of the driver is reflected in the car that they run in. I mean, it'd be like putting a 16-year-old kid who's gone from a go-kart into an LMP2 car. There's no question that they might be able to drive, but they just don't have the experience in that type of car to run the LMP2s. I think we certainly saw that at Road Atlanta in a lot of the endurance racing with that LMP2 car coming out brand new on iRacing. Everyone wants to play with the shiny new toy. The problem is that only so many people have actually read the instructions. So hopefully they'll correct that before too much longer.
I mean, they've made an update in the licensing system in that a lot of those multi-class races are actually getting shifted up one license class. And it's actually good to see the A-class road license actually having a purpose now. Because previously the only class you actually get access, or the only series you get access to from an A-class license is Formula 1. That's it. And those, I mean, don't get me wrong, those are a difficult car to drive, but I think that multi-class racing requires more skill and patience from a driver, and when the lower echelons of iRacing, as we actually see Nash, sorry, was that Bowler? It was Bowler make his way around Luke Traher. Good use of, patience. Oh!
Big off
Russell
track
catches it.
Russell, lucky that there's plenty of room on the outside of that track, but that does.
And lucky that he got past Traher when he did as well, otherwise Traher would have got caught up in that.
I hate the devil's advocate too, because it's just something that I'm not a big fan of, but I do do have to offer a slight moderation to what you said there. You're right that they have made the adjustments to the licensing system. Difficulty with the adjustment that they've made, it's very easy to get a B-class license when all you have to do is circulate at the back of the field and not get any incident points, and that qualifies you as being able to drive, as opposed to actually being able to perform clean passing manoeuvres, braking manoeuvres, etc. So the iRacing safety system works on consecutive clean corners running a race. If I run through a race and finish dead last by 10 minutes and successfully complete 56 corners, I get fantastic iRacing and my safety rating. But it doesn't mean that I can actually race, or it means that I can drive around the track. Definitely two different things.
Sure, but like when you, I mean, this is a really poor comparison. Don't get me wrong. But when F1 2019 came out and they were trying to integrate a lot more of their esports systems and have a ranked driver system and driver lobby, it was horrific because what ended up happening was very quickly. I went up to an S-Class license, and then there was no one for me to race against. So I ended up sitting around for half an hour looking for races. Whereas my friend, who only had a B-Class license because he hadn't, not because he wasn't talented, he was actually a better driver than I was, he just didn't drive as much. He was getting races all the time, and he just said, it got to the stage whereby he did exactly that. I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to start at the back of the grid, everyone wreck themselves out in the first lap, and then I'm going to drive through and have some fun. But, you know, it's difficult. I don't think that there is, I mean, look at the super licenses for Formula 1, like, that's not even a good fix, and that's the professional level, you know? So...
Yeah, I think it comes down to applying a multiplier for safely passing or safely executing passing manoeuvres.
Yeah.
And so you end up with a safety rating for driving cleanly and safely around the track, and you get a multiplier for actually making positions and cleanly passing other vehicles, and that's probably where it lies. And having 1 rating or 2 ratings, so because there's enough drivers who don't care about I rating to make safety ratings. So you know perfectly well it's not a real system as we see here as well. Russell trying to put the move on, having a big look down the inside of Matty Bowler as well. He is possible to keep it going.
It's a really good job there by Matty Broom. Did you see that there? Matty Broom, not in a race whatsoever, recognises that right in front of him on the track is probably one of the most hectic spots on the track, pulls right out of the way, does not want to be involved in anything heading to Eau Rouge and Modillion, and just lets everyone else go. Spitty, same move, and Sebastian Murray-Wesberg is less able to do it. Getting off one of the grass. He's on an escape road though, so he's fine.
He did a good job there. He did a really good job. It was like we're in some sort of bow repairs, redback race team Twilight Zone, where all we were seeing was those and one NSR Porsche. But as you say, they're all doing a really good job to make sure they get out of the way and let this battle continue.
I mean, it's race awareness. Every car in that queue, with the exception of Bowler and Russell, isn't racing anyone for position right now. Yes, Sebastian Murray-Wesberg would like to try and catch Chris Purnell, but that's probably out the window as he's fallen back over a minute again. Spitty, he's not racing anyone. Who was it? Matty Broom is a long way distant from Ron Polito and a long way distant from Frank Hodak as well. So good situational awareness, and this is without these drivers being on the mic to each other as well. There was a league race recently where I just come on the mic towards the back end of the race and said, hey look, lap traffic, your call, but me and 4th place are currently in a battle. I can see on the track that there's 20 seconds either side of you. Would you mind just pulling over just so we can get around and continue our battle? And that's basically what's happened here without anyone saying anything. And that is a very good job by all drivers involved. We're just talking about how the system doesn't necessarily work in its entirety. And there's a perfect example of the drivers taking the right mindset to make the system work for them.
Yeah,
or make the racetrack work for them and make the racetrack a safer place.
So there is still the pit strategy here that we can't forget to play out, and obviously Tim Russell here not able to conserve any fuel whatsoever in his chase of Matt Bowler in second place. So there's a lap difference between these two cars in terms of when they pitted, with Bowler being a lap to the good, so he did pit 1 lap later than Timothy Russell. So
This is going to be
we
interesting.
suspect that Russell may need to save fuel, but it doesn't sound like he's doing that at all.
No fuel saving there. Absolutely nothing there.
No.
So I'm curious whether or not he did it early in the stint. In this stint, got the fuel that he needed to save done. Because he would have only been 1 lap short, I think, at the end of the first stint. You said maybe 2 to 3 laps at the start of the race. Well, maybe he saved that 1 to 2 laps in his first stint, and now he's saved all he needs to save, and now he's in push mode.
He pitted on the hour, so he's going to be borderline. He's going to be one of the drivers that if Nash gets across the line with 15 seconds to go, who may enter issues with fuel, I think.
Well, let's start to take a look. So we're at 150.25 right now. So let's keep our eyes on Nash. So I'm looking for the time when he crosses the line. Now his laps so far tonight have just about, with the fewest of exceptions, been on the 2:14.2, 2:14.1, 2:14.3. So if we say that he does a 2:14.2 as an average lap time, his last lap out was 2:14.3. Let's tick things off when he gets to the line this time by.
He's got 9 laps to go. He's going to cross the line halfway through, I reckon. Sorry, he's got 4 laps to go. My apologies.
9 minutes to go.
yeah, four laps to go, but he's going to end up doing 5 laps.
And the finish line's there at the top, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it is. So he crossed the line then at what, 151, let's say 15-ish? Well, 2:14. So let's say he's gonna have to do 5 laps before he gets an extra minute added on. So 4 laps. He's gonna put in at just under 9 minutes. So it's gonna be 10 laps.
And the gap's only 5 seconds, so these guys are going to end up doing the same thing. 5 laps to go.
It'll be 4 laps. It'll only be 4, Stuart. It'll only be 4 by that math. The math will work out that he'll do 8 minutes, and it's going to be 8 minutes and about 52 seconds to do 4 laps.
Yeah, you spot
So
on.
4 laps to go, and he'll cross the line less than 10 seconds after the zero ticks up, after it ticks over to 0. Oh, it's been a hard mental day, but I got the math right at the end of it. Oh, that was head math. There was no calculator involved there. I'm impressed. I'm happy. It's been a good night for racing, actually. Everyone on the field's done a good job. Like you said, coming off the back of Road Atlanta where there was a few issues. I mean, again, we will mention that Road Atlanta is always going to be a tricky track, but the entire field has been using their mirrors, being more respectful, the relatives have been looked at. So, and that's, again, been with quite a few battles right throughout the race as well. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't necessarily say we had issues at Road at Atlanta. It was just a tight track. There was always going to be consequences there. No question.
It's the same thing as racing at Bathurst in multi-class racing.
Yeah, absolutely right.
You're identical. Yeah.
Still close here as we get through another lap. Battle just not budging, not giving us an inch either way.
Matty Bowler's done his fastest lap of the race as he dips into the 2:13s for the first time tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So opening up half a second there. Looking the goods.
Qualifying laps to the end, I think. Well, if there's ever a time to showcase the faster of the 2 NSR Porsches, now's the time, Matty.
Oh yes, he's actually done the fastest lap of the race.
Well, fastest legal lap of the race.
Yeah, well, they're the only ones that count.
Because Mash went faster, remember, but off
did.
track.
He
Yeah,
did.
so. Come on, Nashy. Gotta knock him off. You
He's
can't let him
wide.
have that.
Run a little bit wide there, getting caught out on those marbles.
Oh man, it's knife edge, isn't it? It's knife edge in terms of fuel strategy. It's knife edge in terms of fatigue. It's knife edge in terms of tires. Of the two of these guys, the guy that should be on worse tires should theoretically be Tim. Should
It's only
theoretically.
one lap. Only one lap, but he has been chasing hard.
Well, no, it's running in the draft.
True.
Is the issue for me. And Spa not an easy track on tire. Well, it's not a difficult track, but it's sort of like one of those medium wear tracks. It's not in the lower end of the spectrum. It's not in the high end of the spectrum. But there's definitely some high load sections of the track.
Oh wow, what's happened there? Sorry, I was looking at something else on the screen there. So Jordan Malcolm, just 4 seconds now adrift of Luke Trahere. So that's a
And
huge
he's
gap.
losing.
That's 6 seconds that he's gained. Luke Trahere last lap around at 2:22. Malcolm at 2:20. So 2 seconds on the last lap. So I know
Fast lap of the race was his last lap, but again must have had an off track because it didn't register. It didn't update his fastest lap. So far, Fitty is in the pits again.
yes, he's in the
That was
pits
a
for a
while
long
back.
repair now.
Yeah, so he's done the fastest lap of the race in the GT3.
But he will qualify as a finisher with only 3 minutes to go, so he will bank points for finishing 5th in class. 6th in class, my apologies.
6th in class. Yeah. But it's still on for the podium here. Geordie is starting to turn those qualifying laps, and he's taken another 1.9 seconds out of Trahere on that last lap. So
3.2 there. And we've got half a second here still.
it's blink and you'll miss it at this point. I think you, if you're gonna get a drink, go and get it now because those gaps are gonna keep falling, and the move won't be for about another minute's time, but it is coming. Now remember that Russell is running a slight, and we're talking slightly higher trim, downforce car, which means he is strong through this sector of the lap.
Yeah, you can see it there.
And the big issue for him is that he has to defend coming to the line all the way up the back straight that starts now.
Just while we say that, like Braden heard you, Nash just doing a 2:13.65 to now officially have the fastest lap of the race.
I guarantee you would have heard me. Can't be held up. Can't let my teammate be faster than me. That'd you're measured by how well you race against your teammate, they say. So
Definitely, this should be the last lap of the race. So we're looking for the moves.
Where's Malcolm and where's Trahere? They are
It's 2
3/4
seconds
of the way
there, so
through the
it's
lap.
going to be difficult.
Well, and Malcolm's taking out about 1.9 seconds a lap out of Trahere, right? And they've got, it's down under 1.9 seconds, and they've got
Okay, Jamie, thanks for joining this train.
a bit over. They're at 1.1 of a lap to go, so they're coming up towards the chicane that would have just come through Blanchemont now. So Malcolm's in with a shot, especially because he's going to catch him at the right moment to give himself the draft going up into Blanchemont, and really strong on the brakes is Geordie, so he's got an option to nab himself 3rd place right at the back end of the race tonight.
So Timothy Russell has had a moment going up into the bus stop there, and he is now 3 seconds behind Matty Bowler, so he's going to take 2nd place in this race without challenge for the last bit. We've got 2 second gap we just explained there, between Traher and Malcolm. So they're just starting their last lap. Malcolm very much on the hunt. Yeah, Jamie, absolutely, mate. It's been an RSR show yet again this evening. Braden Nash has not only put it on pole, but has led every lap of this race. Did not get past through the pit stops either. And Matty Bowler has driven a great race as well in second place, holding out Timothy Russell, who, as you just heard, has dropped off a little bit there. So he's now solidly in third place, but he's going to finish in third. So that'll be how that ends as this race comes to its conclusion. I'm just going to jump back on board with Braden Nash because he's going to bring this one to an end as he heads through now. So well timed for him. Checker flag's going to be out. They're going to do a 1-2 again here, I feel. There's a bit of a slowdown. They're going to be careful because it's Tim Russell. Tim Russell is out of fuel. He is out of fuel. He
said there was a question mark over him.
That is
that
all
Porsche
that
isn't
can be
even
described.
running.
He is out of fuel. We thought he was going to be one lap short.
It wouldn't surprise me if he just shortcuts the chicane here.
They're coughing and spluttering along, so he's managed to make it through into third. That is why that gap opened up. And so we've ended up with it's party time for the NSR boys. As you can see, Braden Nash there doing a bit burnout on the infield. Just quickly jump back to as well.
They're just about to cross the line. Actually, Malcolm and Traher, and Traher's going to take it by 1.3 of a second.
He does get it done. So, good result there. We've got
Brunel with the kink in his wing?
Yeah, it did have a bit of damage there. I just noticed that on the back. So that's happened at some stage during this part of the race. But he's brought it home for the win and kept the battle up with Braden Nash ahead of him. Does mean the team championships has opened up slightly more as well. A 2-point gain for NSR in that one before we head to the Nürburgring in a fortnight's time. So Nash and Bowler still leading the team championship ahead of Purnell and Traher, followed by, I believe, still being Murray Westberg and Michael Spithill. So, yeah, plenty to still contest in this one as we actually do head into our final round in 2 weeks' time at Nürburgring. Jump back on board with our race winner here, who's just having a bit of a celebration up there at the top of with his teammate. So again, another NSR Motorsport 1-2, a thing that we've become very, very familiar with throughout this season. And they've done a really good job. What was that?
Bit of funneling there. And they're alongside them, actually. That was... anyways, sure, the boys will be jumping here in a moment.
Yeah, we'll grab them up on the Discord when we can. Jump into the ground room. We can have a chat with them and find out Timothy Russell just that 1 lap shy.
Well, he just actually come on comms and said it was 2.7 when he crossed the line. So after he made the mistake, he just went into conservation mode to make sure he made it home, because there was no point in pushing. So yeah, that is a little bit more than tyre smoke there, Braden Nash.
We've got Seb already in the green room, so we'll grab him in. In fact, it's now starting to fill out. So we've got our almost got our GTE podium in. Just waiting for Tim Russell to jump in when he can. And we'll have a chat with the guys. Thanks for the stars, Jamie. Really appreciate you jumping in, mate. And definitely get you into this one next season. So I'll just bring all of the... start bringing the podium in now and get underway with our post-race interviews with the NSR domination.
It strikes me that both of our race winners this evening in that shot that we're just looking at the moment, one of them with a smoking engine from burnouts, the other one with wing damage.
Does happen
Braden,
there.
still celebrating by the sounds of
So
things there,
Braden's
mate?
still getting on the gas. It looks like that Porsche might have given up the ghost though. One of those moments in motorsport where it's time to hand the towel in. But we do have our podium here for the GTE series, so we'll get started with the guys there. Braden, congratulations on yet another dominant performance from you, mate. Led from start to finish, including taking out pole position tonight. So congratulations to you.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It was a good race, a long one tonight.
Yeah, 2 hours around here is reasonably taxing, even though you do get a little bit of a break. It's a full-on circuit, that's for sure.
Sure is.
And a really strong performance by you. The car yet again, you guys seem to manage to get the most out of these cars in the straight line. The Porsche, yours the quickest on track, and that certainly helped.
Yeah, I had a jab at the setup this week, and it worked out. So yeah, that's a good feeling. Glad it worked.
And Matty, on to you, mate. Obviously under pressure there for a significant portion of the race, with Tim doing a great job to keep you under pressure for basically until the last lap there. The car looked really, really strong, particularly, as I said, during the straight sections. Tim seemed to grab you through particularly the back half of the track there, but a good performance from yourself.
Oh yeah, I didn't really get a break the whole race. I was trying to stick to my fuel numbers because we knew that 2 stops around here would really hurt your time. So towards the end, I was hoping Russell was going to pit a bit earlier than me because he pitted a lap earlier, but he stuck it out. So I was a bit worried towards the end, especially with my VR freezing here and there. So yeah, I was lucky to get P2.
You went the first. We actually had a retirement because of some VR issues. We saw Reece Ashmore drop out early on with a similar issue actually with his VR. So I know there has been issues around here in the past with that, but disappointing. But good to see you get the job done, and obviously NSR consolidating their position at the top of the team championship too. So just extending that lead ever so slightly by 2 points tonight, and as we head to the Nürburgring for the final round of the series in a couple of weeks. So again, congratulations to you guys on a race well run. And Timmy, mate, we knew you were borderline for fuel, and it sounded like at the end there you were just starting to cough at the end of that final lap.
Yeah, for sure. No, I just had to take it to Matt, fighting for second and third and then championship. And, I didn't want to let on that I was, getting low on fuel. Like I was getting a bit worried towards the end. And I just had to save just a little bit more in that first stint. And I would have been right in that second stint. But, just hoping that Matt will make a mistake or, just do something. And but it didn't happen. So, no, it's good. I'm still happy with 13.
Yeah, no, you guys drove a ripping race. It was really good for us, and as you watch back, you get a fair amount of the coverage as the closest battle throughout the whole evening. I don't think there was more than a second between you for the last hour of the race, so some really good racing from you two, and great for us to be able to watch.
Yeah, we were joking about it during the practice sessions throughout the week. We were racing together and we were very close, and we were having some good banter. So yeah, it was good to race nice and close with Tim for the whole race because, like Tim said, second and third in the championship, and there's not much separating us. So one bad result, and the positions could swap. So yeah, very glad.
And just while we've got you, before we switch across to the GT3 guys, obviously NSR, you boys, any thanks that you want to hand out tonight before we move across?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys for hosting the stream, as well as thanking my girlfriend Alla and my dad for watching the race. I'm sure he stuck around for the whole race as he always does.
Mate, your dad's a staple in our broadcasts, and we appreciate having him on board as well. So we pass out our thanks to him as well. Darren's always in the comms and helps.
He'll be
with some of the
smiling.
stupid questions we come up between ourselves during the race as well. So appreciate it.
he's addicted to the stream, so it's good.
Oh, we love it,
Yeah,
mate. We
can
love having
you
him on board.
can you ask him to come up with his own trivia question for us next week? For the last race of the season, that'd be awesome.
Oh, inbound
sure-
trivia. I'm not sure that we're ready for that.
I'm sure
Oh.
he's listening now. He'll pull out his phone and try and write one down. So
Yeah, no, we'd love it. We'd love
I'll
it if
make
you
sure
did.
there's one for next week.
Fantastic. And Tim, for you, mate, I'm sure there's a few people you'd like to thank.
Yeah, for sure. Just got to thank me spotter, me crew chief, Toddy Ain. The last 2 weeks he's done a ripping job in the in sorting out my strategy through the race and stuff, and watching me fuel and whatnot. So without a person sitting in the background and watching numbers and whatnot, it it makes it a bit harder for yourself to try to sort that out through the race. Also, just the Redback Racing team, Bow Repairs, Pat Junior Racing, and Race Management Services, and you guys for putting on an awesome show once again, and for doing the broadcast.
Oh, no worries, we love it. So good to see a good list of sponsors there supporting you as well, mate. And a race well run, and congratulations on your performance tonight. As we head across to our GT3 field, patiently waiting there for us, guys. Thank you very much. And not an unfamiliar sight to say congratulations to Chris Purnell for a win here at Spa, albeit not the most straightforward of wins for Chris tonight, with our first non-Purnell pole position, or front row position, we should say, in fact, in nearly 2 seasons of AEE.
Yeah, it was a bit strange sitting on the second row, to be honest. Yeah. I've become accustomed to not having anybody in front of me. So, but yeah, just missed the window with the setup for the quali tonight, and had a couple of little pedal issues in practice as well.
Yeah, and I must say, a good performance there from Michael Spithill, not to deflect from the results, to put his Ferrari on pole there as well. So congratulations to him for taking out his first pole position in AEE2, albeit just not quite his night tonight, but a ripping job for him as well. But the race a little tough for you there, Chris. We didn't actually notice. We saw at the end that the Audi had a little bit of a damaged wing on the back of it there. When did that happen?
On the last lap.
Oh, did it? Oh, well, that'll be why we didn't see it, because we weren't sure about that.
Yeah, I may have backed it in backwards into the hairpin at turn 4 on the last lap. So I double sintered tyres and I had nothing left. My right rear was at 16% when I crossed the line.
Yeah, wow, that's...
Well, good thing you've got one extra lap up on the competition to, no matter what happened on that last lap, it was always C Purnell 1.
Territory you do not want to enter in those low percentages. And Seb, congratulations to you, mate. A really good race for you. Up 4 positions tonight into second place. I can't let Scotty interview you because I feel like it's probably a little bit biased. It'll turn into a Redback race team show for probably a good half an hour or 40 minutes, I reckon. And, we just haven't got that sort of time. But
I tell you what,
you spoiled me my plan.
yeah.
This just in, I'm now Seb's public relations officer. So we'd like to thank Bow Repairs. We'd like to thank everyone for getting out of Seb's way this evening.
I'm gonna have to cut you off there, mate. You've lost a job. I'm sorry.
We'll get to that point in the evening. There's a conflict of interest there, and they do need to be declared before anything happens on a radio or a broadcast. So, but no, good job, Seb. Up 4 positions. We actually remarked during the stream when you were up into second place, we sort of hadn't spoken much about you at all, because you'd just quietly gone about your business and ended up through some good strategy and good driving to end up into second position.
Yeah, look, I'll be very honest. My week's preparations, I've been on holiday, so I didn't get home till late Tuesday. So I've got a big thank you to Ozzy or Peter Edwards, who's took me out at Le Mans, so you guys know him well. But he busted his butt out and worked on the setup and got some stuff done and really helped me. Unfortunately, he couldn't race tonight due to WA time zones and now savings, but he was there towards the last end of the race. But I went into tonight's race, and I mean, I think I over-saved fuel in the first stint. I got to an hour and 7 minutes or something on the first tank of fuel. I was just super saving. which meant I actually ended up with about 10 liters of fuel too much at the end of the race with pushing hard towards the end. So it was a bit of a surprising second place, really. Spa's not a place I aspire to race good at or have ever had much success. So I was actually pretty surprised to find myself out there. I feel bad for Jordan. He had some super pace out there. And same with Spitty. Awesome job to see Spitty put it on pole, and I was devastated to see him going off in the kink towards the bus stop. But overall, I'm happy with tonight's result. And look, with Reece Grant not turning up tonight and me finishing in front of Luke, the battle for second in the championship in GT3 is on.
It's hot.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting close. I was just gonna mention that before and jump on to Luke Trahere, who we actually remarked at Luke about your brand new setup that you I think finished only 2 days ago in getting together, and you've jumped in. You've gone from a belt drive to a direct drive wheel and a whole heap of changes, mate. So a third place is a ripping result for you.
Yeah, and look, I'm under no illusions that it was a gratuitous third place due to some on-track early incidents with Spitty and obviously Reece not turning up and a few other bits and pieces. But on the rig, big shout out to John at Racecraft in Perth. Can't thank him enough for how professional and how helpful he was in putting this rig together, and the fact that from the time I requested what I wanted to having it to the other side of the country in 5 days, just incredible. So. It was a bit tough jumping in it. My back is absolutely killing me because I'm not used to this setup, and the wheel's just so weird, and the seats are a bit of a pain to sit in right now. But no, it's still good race, and happy with the third place finish regardless.
Yeah, absolutely, and don't discredit yourself, mate. You've obviously we were actually talking about it as well during the stream. Second season of track racing, you're generally doing oval track stuff where you perform reasonably strongly. So don't discredit yourself too much. Obviously, everything's coming along, and at the end of the day, you've got to be here to get the results, and you turn up and put in a strong third place tonight. That points gap closing, so it's going to be 6 points between yourself and Seb as we head to the Nürburgring for our ultimate or last round. At this stage, Chris has wrapped up the GT3 championship, but of course plenty to play for with the overall championship between himself and Braden next week. So a good performance from you all, and again congratulations to our podium there with Chris Pennell taking out the GT3 category, followed by Sebastian Murray-Westberg and Luke Trahere. As we always do, Chris, anyone you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank FGM eCast, Race Magazine, Tasman Racewear, Sim Styles Paints, and Virtual Motorsport Mentor.
Yep, brilliant, absolutely. And Seb, yourself, mate?
Look, I've got to thank the whole RRT team. They all came together really well this week. Bow Repairs, Pat Junior Racing, RMS, all great sponsors and do a fantastic job supporting the team. And also got a big shout out to Pete Edwards, who spotted for me tonight. And just without his hard work behind the scenes, I don't think I could have got the result out of tonight. So big thanks to him.
Fantastic, mate. Thank you for that. Luke, finally you. Obviously, you're a shout out about your rig, mate. Give him another blast.
Yeah, absolutely. So, John from Racecraft in Perth. Like I said before, just an absolute professional. If anyone's ever looking at, getting into an aluminium profile rig, and like, I don't know John personally, and I'm certainly not saying this as any sort of deal or anything like that. It's just genuine. So definitely big shout out to him. Want to give a big shout out to my girlfriend today. It's her birthday. I'm actually blessed for the race tonight. She's actually out with some friends from work, so but she would have let me race definitely regardless. So happy birthday, babe. I love you. Just want to give one more quick shout out to a local boy, Jimmy the Brute Crute, from my Bendigo hometown.
I knew this was
coming. I had to do it. Yep. Bendigo boy had a big win, big knockout in the UFC on the weekend. Probably not listening to this, but I just want to give a big shout out to him. And just a last thank you to my team. Having an absolute blast. Each one of you guys, both the Reeses, Chris, Brett, yourself, Stu, Jason, D, and Musco. Loving the ride with you guys. So thank you very much.
Very good, very good. And as we said before, we've got a couple of things to touch on quickly before we get off the air for this evening. First and foremost is we will be back for our last round at the Nürburgring, which is going to be a challenge for everyone. And we'll resolve our championships at that point in time. Scotty, before we head off, mate, as usual, your moment for the night.
I don't think there's any particular moment because it's one of those races where the story wrote itself over a long journey. Normally you get like one of those standout moments, standout passes, standout anything. It's more about definitely about the journey, and I think that tonight's stream wouldn't have been the way that it would have been without the battle between Bowler and Timothy Russell the entire way through the race. I think that was basically what the stream was about tonight, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right. And for me, it was either going to be that or, to be brutally honest, the way that Seb just managed to pop up into second place at some point in time during the race without going noticed at all. So between those two battles, races well run, and looking forward to what the Nürburgring is going to bring to the finale for our season and for our year for AEE. So that's certainly something I'm looking forward to. As part of the channel for us for the rest of the week, what have we got on? Well, it's Thursday night. Tomorrow night's a public holiday, or tomorrow night. Tomorrow is a public holiday in Victoria, so certainly looking forwed to enjoying that. And
it's grand final day, isn't it? Oh,
well, yeah, it's actually thank you day tomorrow because, of course, there's no grand final in Victoria tomorrow, even though there's two Victorian teams in the grand final for the first time since 2011. But there's no grand final here, so we've got thank you day tomorrow, which is to thank everyone for doing what they do in terms of fighting COVID-19, particularly those frontline staff who we absolutely agree need thanks. Yeah, looking forward to getting back to some sort of normality, hopefully in Victoria over the next week or so. And then we move into the grand final on Saturday night. So our next stream is scheduled for Sunday evening, where we're broadcasting the Activity Hub Bali, presenting the V8 Supercar Oval Track Series. So put that one in your calendars. It's an exciting race to watch with V8 Supercars certainly not set up to drive around oval tracks, but somehow the boys managed to get it done. And then we head into next week back with the Oz Pro-Am Sim Series and their new format. So looking forward to bringing that to you as well. So plenty to come. But it is going to be a little bit of a quiet tale to the end of the week for us because, to be perfectly frank, I'm going to enjoy a couple of days off. I haven't sim raced for 3 weeks. I'm having withdrawals. I'm almost in the corner shaking, but not quite there yet. But I will be if I don't get some of that done. So that's what my plans are for the long weekend.
Yeah, no, it's not quite a long weekend up here in New South Wales.
You have freedom. You cannot complain.
That's what I was about to say. No, it's good. I think we've got a few different people trying to take a crack at the 6 hours at Le Mans this weekend. So eyes are on that, and more endurance league racing where I actually get to sit in the car instead of the booth. But no, look, Stuart, I've had an absolute blast again. It's been a little while since I've sat myself down in the chair and got on the old mic, but I can say that I thoroughly enjoyed myself tonight.
So it looks like we're going to have to get, just quickly, John from Racecraft, we're going to have to try and get him on the stream at some stage. So Jamie's jumped into the stream as well and said that he seconds Luke's comments about John at Racecraft. So we'll put that one in the diary and try and get that done. And i.e. LMS, Jamie's going to run out as well. So it looks like you'll be facing a little bit of competition from some of our audience, which is great to see.
Also,
once again,
good to see.
We're going to bring that to a head tonight. It is 10:30 here local time in Victoria. We are done and dusted for another night. And thank you very much to everyone who joined us. Thank you for those who contributed stars. They do go back into the stream, so we greatly appreciate it. And once again, we will see you on Sunday night for the V8 Supercar Oval Track Series, thanks to Activity Hub Bali. Thanks to everyone that supports the channel. We love it, and we will see you in a few days' time. Take care of yourselves from your Place for Pace FGM eCast. We appreciate your support. Thank you very much.